excuses the league puts out, you better be able to ball. You better be able to come out here, or you will get embarrassed.
Yeah, several names from high major programs like Stephen F. Austin, Louisiana Tech, Texas State, all boasting on the rosters this afternoon. Some of those schools competing in Conference USA, the Sun Belt. So very high level of basketball. We've seen what those kind of schools can do in the NCAA tournament, specifically Rex Baxter of Klein High School here in Houston went on to play at SFA on a team that went to the NCAA tournament. So, as you mentioned, Dion, a lot of high caliber college talent here representing this afternoon.
So one thing I like about college basketball, it's not as much as like football, how like the quote-unquote Power 5 conferences, you really don't have a chance to get to the big stage or the conference games. But in college basketball, everyone has an even playing field per se, because once you get in the tournament, like you said, Stephen F. Austin made it. We saw smaller programs before have a chance to make it, to make deep runs. We saw a lot of upsets in this past tournament. So a lot of these players, don't matter where you play collegiately, you have the talent, you can put it all on display, and you can really be successful career. So some of these players, like we just mentioned, Daniel House was able to further his career. He done something by putting in the work and playing in this very own tournament. So again, we'll have 5 exhibition games, and the league will jumpstart June 12th, and we have players continuing to come up and give them our bio. So as we continue to get more information on these players, we will bring that to you. What has been some of you guys' favorite moments in the NBA so far here throughout the playoffs?
Oh man, it's been a lot that has happened with this, but I have to start with the Suns and the Lakers matchup. I think that was the most surprising for me. Just to even see Devin Booker just go off like that, his performance is definitely one to remember in that matchup with LeBron, and even in that last game, sending the Lakers home. That performance by Booker, best of his performance this season.
Right. And the amazing thing about Phoenix is you look at that was not just their first playoff win in 11 years. There was no playoffs for that team in 11 seasons. Yep. There was a season back in 2015 where they won 48 games, and the league was so good that year in the West that they didn't even make the playoffs. So for that fan base to get a win over an iconic team with that high pedigree like the Lakers, that just got to be so rewarding for them waiting out for that long. And it's not like Phoenix is any slouch either. They've had some bad luck missing the playoffs several seasons in a row, but that team is finals caliber, and it's not really LeBron James and Anthony Davis and company getting upset because that group didn't have the rest that it needed to properly compete in the NBA season after only 71 days in the offseason. That was Phoenix winning in that first round.
Also, like you said, not as you said, but continuing some basketball talk. We here at the University of Houston in the Fertitta Center, as you guys see.
Yep.
And how about our Cougs? We're all Cougs ourselves, Cougar alumni. How did you guys feel seeing the Final Four run?
That Final Four run, it reminded me kind of when we made it to that Elite Eight a couple years back, and just bringing that energy back to the center of Houston. I think we much needed that. You know, this year we didn't see a lot of success from our football program, but our basketball program, a new facility, also brought in a lot of energy and just excitement around the program. And you know, these guys, they've developed over the years, and just to see them to make an impression in that tournament, to say the least, was exciting.
Absolutely. And one thing that, Paige, you kind of touched on, it was very special to see the entire city give all of its attention to Cougar basketball, because right now we're seeing that with the Astros. This is an Astros town right now, especially with how down the Texans and the Rockets are right now. But there for about 3 weeks, it was a Cougars town for sure. And Deanna, I appreciate the inclusion. I'm actually not a Cougar alum.
Okay.
I wish I were. I feel I'm an honorable Cougar, as I say.
We'll welcome you.
But absolutely, I feel honorably included, and it was people like me in this city who got to be a little part of that family, just because it's so unique in that it's one of three, I should say, cities in America that has 2 FBS programs.
Yeah.
It's got Rice in Houston, and it's one of the few nationally that has the city in its name, right? University of Houston. That's very rare on a national scale. So all those things just kind of lent to the entire city really putting its entire attention on it, and bringing college sports alive in a big town where, normally you've got the outer markets, Austin and College Station, drawing a lot of the college sports attention. It was really cool on a team that boasts 3 pro sports, having everybody go all in on college. But if you're looking for a favorite moment from me, throughout the regular season, UH didn't really boast that one go-to guy, but that completely changed in both tournaments when Quentin Grimes became a player that was more than a go-to scorer. He's going to be a guy who hears his name called in the first round of this year's draft in July. He became an elite top 10 national player for a few weeks there in March. That was very cool to see. And when I look back on that tournament run, I think back on the Kansas transfer and the Woodlands High School product and how much of a star role he played.
I agree with you 100%, but I have to give credit to Coach Sampson and the entire coaching staff. Hey, they were able to get the best out of Quentin. He was a transfer from Kansas, 5-star product. A lot of praise coming out of high school. Had an okay freshman season, average around 8 points. Sophomore season, we saw him get even better. Then, like you said, he made strides in his junior season and became a go-to player. And got to give a huge shout out to Coach Sampson, his player development, and just pushing those players to the best of their abilities. And you just look at some of the guards that come through Houston. You got with Damian Dotson, Rob Gray, Armani Brooks, Corey Davis, Nate Hinton. Now, Quinn Grimes, Dejan Giroux, he had a tremendous season as well, and the list is going to continue to go on. Tremont Mark is going to come out and make a really good name from himself. When my favorite moment actually was with Tremont Mark in that game against Rutgers, getting that offensive rebound, put back and won. And that just plays to the culture of this Houston, just tough, hard-nosed basketball as far as being in tune and crashing the offensive glass. You have to have a certain attitude and a certain want to go get that offensive glass. And for Tremont Mark, as a freshman, making that play, he's going to be one of our go-to players as he continues his college career. So that was one of my favorite moments. Now, I actually had the chance to do the play-by-play for all of the women's basketball games here on their home court, and I must say they had a really good season as well. And Paige, for you as a fellow former woman athlete, what are your thoughts as women's sports continue to grow?
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this tide, and I hope it's just not a tide. I hope that it's continuous growth of all of women's sports in general. Just speaking for U of H, like you brought up the women's basketball team, I can remember back to my freshman year here where it was kind of hard to get athletes and other fans to attend those games, but now you have people filling the stands willingly because these programs are continuously growing. And I can talk about all the women's sports at U of H. Women's track and field, they just coming off a conference championship there in Tampa, Florida. You have high caliber athletes in that event: Brianne Bethel, Tristan Evelyn. The list can continue. Talk about the swim team, they dominate the American continuously. And and if you want to go on a bigger scale, the WNBA, the viewership has skyrocketed.
Those jerseys are fire.
The jerseys, the concept, the W. I'm here for, let's call it the W. I'm here for that. I love it. It just speaks volume of what women can actually do. And it's an honor for me to even sit here with you guys, because even earlier in the season, we discovered that 90% of sports are broadcasted by men.
Yep.
And it's not a lot of women in this role. So for me, it's iconic for me just to be sitting in this chair on this mic currently. So, I'm all for it, and I know that it's something even bigger, that this is only the beginning.
Yeah, and very well said, Paige. As we sit here at the home of UH women's basketball, kind of going back to their regular season, came up a little short in the women's NIT. Very well could have been placed in the tournament, and there were some bigger national brands that ended up getting the at-large bid in the women's tournament. But they found themselves in a good position to be in the WNIT. Got a tough matchup against San Francisco. I was lucky enough to be on the radio call for that game. And that was the San Francisco team that gave an undefeated California Baptist team a real tough push.
Yep.
That team ultimately went on to lose to the champion Rice. But UH, in consolation, ended up ending its season on a win with a victory over Arizona State. How many teams get to say that they finished their season with a tournament win? So absolutely a building block banner year for Ronald Hughey and company. And the tide is absolutely headed in the right direction for both of the basketball teams that occupy this beautiful, sparkling building.
That's a great point you made. I actually had a conversation with one of their assistant coaches, Ty Dillon Mouton, on our podcast, Pod Slamma Jamma, and you can check that out on iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast. And she echoes those same sentiments. She said not many programs get the opportunity to end their season on a win. Either you win the tournament and you win the championship, or you don't. So she said that just boded well for their program, and it made them even hungrier as they just came into came to the campus. With a lot of new transfers came to the campus, going to begin their summer workout. So that's a great point you made by them. I think they had an upset win over South Florida, who is nationally ranked here at their home court, and then they lost to Cincinnati. And that just kind of bodes. When you have expectations like that, you got to be able to handle it. And she talked about that as well. So it was a great season for them. I told her and Coach Huey, I expect them to be in the tournament next season with the talent they have returning, and then adding with the newcomers. I think they're going to be a really good program as we just continue to do basketball talk. We're here at the Fertitta Center, and for our No Excuses Pro League, and this is our exhibition games today. We have 5 exhibition games, and then the league will begin on June 12th. We'll have those coverage every weekend, so we want to thank you all for tuning in. But Gary, you got to tell us a little more about you and what you do as far as your journey in broadcasting.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys this afternoon. So I'm a freelance broadcaster, do a lot. Thankful with Max Sports TV. Paige and I, and you as well, Dion, got in on covering women's soccer and track and field this spring. So it was a lot of fun to see those two programs. You talk about growth. They're both making tremendous strides in the right direction. I also do a lot of radio, filling in for Jeremy Branham, who's the voice of University of Houston men's basketball and baseball, in addition to some stuff I'll kind of whisper it with the crosstown rival Rice. I apologize. I play both sides of the fence here. I do apologize, but I absolutely wish both schools the best. And in addition to high school sports broadcasting in the area, so great to be included here this afternoon, and really looking forward to some exhibition hoops this afternoon in the summer, because everything kind of slows to a crawl. Right now, as we mentioned earlier, it's all Astros all the time in Houston, so it's nice to be able to return to the hardwood in early June.
And another thing that you kind of I wanted to say, Houston men's basketball actually carried Houston sports.
Yeah.
And you look at the down season the Texans had, baseball wasn't in season, so like you said, it is an Astros town. Houston loves baseball, and the Astros not as good as past years, is because they were one of the best teams, but they're still a really quality team right now.
Very much fighting for that first place spot. Come September, they're very much going to be in that race. And if you say that, Dion, it's going to be like that for several seasons, unfortunately. The Texans, bad news, Houston fans, it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, in 2021. The Rockets are going to be markedly improved this season, depending on what they can do in the off season. But bringing in a guy like Cade Cunningham, like Jalen Green, depending on which way the lottery balls fall, it is certainly not going to be a 16-win season. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Who would you like to see? Who would you prefer in a Rockets uniform, Cade or Jalen?
It's got to be Cade Cunningham.
Okay.
He absolutely fits that
just
star
making sure we're on the same page.
Absolutely. He's a Texan himself.
That's
played. He's from like Paige and I. Sorry, folks. He's from Dallas. Like Paige and I both are.
But, all 3 of us from Dallas.
There you go. You too, Dion. Sorry about that. No, he's from. So like the 3 of us, he's from Dallas. But like Houston, or like the 3 of us have experienced, Houston can easily adopt you in and become a part of the city. And Cunningham fits that James Harden type go-to scoring mold. I think it's the perfect transition, not unlike the Dallas Mavericks had with Dirk Nowitzki walking out the door and Luka Doncic coming in the same season. Watching James Harden leave and bringing in Cade Cunningham would be the ultimate bridge for that franchise. And bringing him in, if they can, like we said, there's still a lot of lottery left to play, but a lot of stuff to figure out still in the lottery. They would be in a much better direction. Wrapping back to our original point, though, right now it is an Astros town. It's going to be an Astros town for a few more seasons till the Texans and Rockets get back into competing for playoff spots.
And Gary, you brought up a good point there when you spoke about Cade kind of filling that franchise face, because for a while it was Fear the Beard. It was the Beard Show there at the Houston Rockets facility. So now they're kind of faceless right now. You have a lot of guys that are still producing well, but overall they're very faceless. So Cade Cunningham, definitely what he's done in his collegiate career, he's definitely fitting for that role.
Right. He's that go-to killer scorer archetype. I mean, you saw what he did in college, almost single-handedly won 2 games in the NCAA tournament, carried that team to a title game appearance in the Big 12 tournament. And Oklahoma State was a team that was hovering right around 500 in late February, but he absolutely put them on his shoulders and carried them to a tournament berth. I think Rockets fans, when they started to see the writing on the wall that the 2020-2021 season was not headed in the right direction, that was a guy that got a lot of eyeballs. And it seems like Houston fans are very happy with what they've seen so far. So hopefully things bounce the Rockets' way in the lottery and they can end up drafting him number 1 or number 2.
And not only is he a prolific scorer, but he's a really good playmaker as well. Right. Nice size. I think he's like a 6'6" guard.
Yes.
And so that's interchangeable as far as the guard position in what we see in today's basketball game. Armani Brooks was picked up late in the G League. He made the most number of three-pointers in the G League, got us called up. And I believe, if I can remember correctly, he made 47 threes in 17 games. Don't quote me on that. This is off the head, but it was a record for three-pointers made in the rookie season. And so I think you continue with shooters. They also had a good collection of guards. So I think the Houston Rockets, man, I think they won't be tanking for that long. I don't think it'll be a process per se like it was in Philly, where it's just consecutive bad year after bad year. But we're almost underway with our first game here in the No Excuses Basketball League. And like we said, this is an exhibition play. Both of these teams are really just kind of warming up on what's to come here in the season. The season starts June 12th. What are you going to see as these basketball players you guys want to see as they come out here and just compete?
Yeah, it's funny. We've talked so much about college basketball here in the Open. It's going to be a college-style game that we see this afternoon. Probably more relaxed on the defensive end. Both teams trying to establish their jump shots, figure out go-to scores and whatnot. So the first half is probably going to be wide open until we see these two get their feet under them. But yeah, absolutely. It's finding that go-to score, maybe relaxing a bit on defense, crashing the boards instead, and keeping a high pace of play in addition.
And then also one thing too is seeing how these guys gel together. You know, this is the first time these two teams are ever playing together as a unit. So definitely want to see how these guys are able to adapt to their team environments. And, you know, you don't necessarily know what other skills someone may have just because of never being on the same team. So excited to see what these guys can do today. I think we're going to see a lot of offense like you spoke of. And just to fact check you there, Dayon, you were correct on Armani Brooks. 47 in his first 17 games, and that is the rookie record for three-pointers. So you were correct.
Thank you. Now, I love basketball, man. Basketball is my first passion. That's why I don't consider this work. This is something I love to do. Sports is a passion. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, I made a list of things I've loved, things I was passionate about. Sports fell under the realm of passion. So just being here with you guys, talking basketball is something that I love to do.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. Sports is right up my alley. Being a former athlete myself in many different sports, this is very fitting for me as well.
Don't have a scoreboard or a time being kept here at the Fertitta Center, but we're going to keep it for you anyway. Just follow along and we'll keep track of the score. Free agents pink will be the visitor. Free agents green will be the home.
Guys lining up, getting ready to start. Reminder, this is an exhibition game as the real season will begin June 12th. Every weekend after that.
The free agents green win the tip. 101 pull up short. As Paige, you said something good. Some of these players haven't played on the same team as well, so chemistry won't really be at it will be as a senior when it starts on June 12th. So for basketball, you just want to play basketball. Basketball is a something that's rocket science. Get out, move the basketball, move your body, and then just play well. See if they can get in some transition hoops as Green was able to get their first points of the game.
One of the things that's also interesting about today's game, as you see a 3 left short, is we've seen our friends over at the KDC International League play in a much smaller, more compact space up in Spring. There is plenty of space here at the Fertitta Center to space the floor and establish shooters in the corners, up top, whatnot. So that'd be really interesting to see this style of pickup basketball. Green in transition. Low post entry stolen away. Here they come in transition. Deep tray.
Rails off the rim there.
Back with Green with off to a 4-0 start. Just a couple minutes in. Don't know how the periods will work out, but we'll keep a track. Look like Rex Baxter, the SFA product, pulling the trigger on the other end. Another 3 for Pink. 0 for 3. Green in transition. Pink looking for that first bucket. Boy, there's just a seal on the rim for Pink, and we mentioned trying to figure out who you are offensively. A lot of that going on right now.
Another deep 3, but that one sinks right in.
First one from Treyland that we've seen fall this afternoon. 3-possession lead for Green as Pink looks for that elusive first bucket.
Yeah, Pink staying on that seal there on the outside. Maybe want to try to look to get some more of the 2-point plays here, as they're kind of sitting strong on the outsides.
Pink has missed its first 5 shots by my count. Green off to a much harder start. Screen and roll. Baxter. A little long. Numbers for Pink. And just got a little too fancy. Another turnover.
So a rough start here for Pink.
Absolutely.
You know, looking to get their footing in against Green, but Green looking like they're in familiar territory almost.
Deep jump shot. Coaches will tell you that's the worst shot in basketball, but it doesn't matter if it goes in with the foot on the line.
Yeah, that's analytics talk right there.
Yep.
It's either...
It makes sense.
It definitely makes sense, but as a former basketball player, I think you're going to get a good look as he knocks that one down from the corner. But it definitely does make sense, and we saw that trickle down throughout every level of basketball analytics.
Baxter gets the runner to go. Pink just scored on its last possession. First bucket of the game. Great entry feed. Back to a 6-point game. In the low post. There's a bucket. Interesting, guys. Haven't seen a single whistle blown so far. They're definitely letting them play in these exhibition games.
That's what you like to see. You want to see these young men come out. Let them find their rhythm. You don't want the referees to input themselves into the game. Let the players dictate as far as how the game goes, and you just kind of control it. You don't want it to get too physical, but I like what I'm seeing, especially here in the summer league. You want the players to be able to play through contact. You don't want a lot of whistles.
Referees from the G League and Division I, according to the website. Houston no excuses lead. Baxter in transition gets his second bucket. A timeout for Pink. They're down by 10. Baxter, the former Klein High School star, stands at 6'6" and played at Stephen F. Austin, which is one of the more successful programs in the Southland Conference. A slew of NCAA tournament appearances over the years. Might know the name Brad Underwood was head coach there, guided the school to an NCAA tournament before jumping ship and heading to Oklahoma State and eventually Illinois. Illinois was a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament this year under his leadership. So Baxter has had some great tutelage over the years.
Now, Illinois is one of the surprise losses in this past year's tournament.
Really shocking.
Yeah.
They fell head-to-head against Loyola Chicago, who made another deep run.
So we take a look. We just had a clean sweep here of changes, but one player remained. That's Baxter there. So maybe coach is seeing what they like in his performance thus far here in the matchup.
Green in transition.
Green definitely has a size advantage.
There's Baxter again. 6 points for him, 12-point lead. Screen and roll. Lost the handle. Baxter got his nose in deep there. And we see our first personal foul of the afternoon. This is the Houston No Excuses League Showcase. Exhibition games going all afternoon. That one misses everything. In transition, it's Green up ahead. Corner 3, Doncic style, misses. Floater, yes. Pinballs around, and Green is owning the court right now.
Yeah, Pink struggling on the offensive side of things currently, and looking more so individualism here. Not a lot of passing going on there. And as we just saw, a failed pass attempt there, tipped away by Green. But Pink definitely struggling on the offensive side here today.
Yeah, when they do try to pass it, something like that happens. Bad throwaway. Green ball in the half court. Baxter finally gets a breath.
As Carson drives, gets the foul, he'll go to the line for 2. Jeremiah Carson. What do you guys think about the flow of the game so far? It looks like it's in favor of the green team.
Yeah, I definitely think the green team looks a little bit more comfortable with the flow and the mechanics, especially with just the dialogue that they're even having on the floor. You see them communicating a lot more compared to your pink team here. So green team definitely have a better grip on things.
Does he get a turnover right on cue? Open floor, 2-on-1, throw it up, and he doesn't, throws it down, but he gets the finish. Nice alley-oop there. Great pass in the open floor, turning defense into offense. You get another turnover. They run the floor once again, throws it up. Way to get back, contest the shot, and be pink ball. We see sloppy turnovers, and that's something that you see when players don't have as chemistry. They haven't played each other that well. As we mentioned, both of these are free agent teams looking to join a team here in the No Excuses Foundation. As we mentioned, the league kicks off June 12th. This is the exhibition games for what's to come. Some of these high-level talent kids, a lot of these men have played collegiately, played overseas, so they're definitely used to playing this high-level competitive basketball, and we're off to a really good start. It's going to be pink ball on the baseline. Coming off that screen. Nice spin move. Got stuck in no man's land. Turns it over. 3-on-2 in the open floor. Pull up, mid-range. Got it. Nice open look. Knocking it down.
So Pink still struggling here, looking to get something on the arc, but unfortunately nothing there yet.
Gets to his left hand, gets all the way inside, doesn't get the finish, but he gets the foul call. Go all the way inside. It's fouled and go to the line. It's Trey Murphy.
So to my knowledge, that will make 2 fouls on Green this time around.
Trey Murphy, a 5'9" point guard from Texas College. He was an all-conference player while in college. High ball screen. Nice cut as get the steal. Let's see if Pink can get in transition, see if they can get some easy buckets.
All the way from China, Cheng Yu drives the lane.
And you know, that's another interesting dynamic of this league as well. You also have overseas players. So not just your collegiate athletes, but you also have some other overseas players looking to get some work in here throughout the summer. And what better league to do so?
Dribble drive, pull up, count it.
Joe Hickey leaning in for the bucket.
You see Green not hesitating, getting right up court, and they get another transition bucket inside.
21-7 score, 2-touchdown lead right now for Green.
Three from the wing, short. Get the offensive board, no look pass. Got to finish that one.
Kind of a heat check there for Hickey as well.
Nice bounce pass down the lane.
The free agents Pink team is going to have to play some transition defense. They're allowing too many layups, too many easy looks here early in this start.
Yeah, not a lot of defense going on Peak side. They're more so playing on the offensive side here and unable to be successful there either, but they definitely will benefit from more defensive side. But just like that, seeing in the regulation.
Jalen Wise with the first jam of the exhibition showcase. It appears to be the end of the quarter. We didn't really get word as to what the format's going to be, as to whether they're going to play halves or quarters. But again, exhibition game scheduled until 5 o'clock here this afternoon.
And so far, and that's what we talked about. When you don't really have chemistry or know who you're going to play with, you're going to play good defense and let your defense create your offense. And that's what the Green has been able to do here in the start of the game.
And one standout from the Green team, definitely Rex Baxter. You know, he stayed in throughout 2 of those timeouts where we saw players being swapped in and out there, and he kind of remained put. So Coach there kind of saw something in Baxter in that experience. So definitely a good look for him as far as this league goes.
Free agents Pink team getting every second they can at this timeout. And Dion, you mentioned trying to gel as a team and improve that chemistry. Being down 18 after one's a good way to find out what you're made of. Whether they can keep this game at least from being called to a blowout.
And basketball is a game of runs. I expect them now as they kind of settle in a little bit, see what players can do what. I expect them to go on a little bit of a run themselves. They're going to have to do it on the defensive end. They gave up a lot of transition buckets here at the start of the game.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to see some more defensive options here for your Pink side. And we do see a couple subs in here that could potentially allow that to happen. So let's just see how this team is able to respond back to Green's offensive gains.
Trey Murphy brings it up. A reach-in foul. Not many whistles to start of game. Seems like the referees are now kind of allow them players to let them know. And one thing as far as a basketball player, you just want consistency with the referees. Want the referees to let you know how physical they're going to allow the game to be called.
Loss of dribble there.
Nice swim move there from Kenneth Prazia.
High ball screen. Seeing a lack of spacing. It's just pull up from deep, short. A lot of one-on-one play for the Pink. Another transition, 3 from the wing, misses everything, but to get the offensive rebound to put back.
Good follow from Nick Johnson.
Getting the press here from Green.
They get the steal. Somebody called the Crime Stoppers. I want to report a theft inside the Fertitta. You like that on the defensive end.
As he's slow to get up. Hopefully he's okay, as this is an exhibition game. So
right.
A long season to go here this summer in this league.
What do you guys think about the start of the game?
Well, it's been an exhibition for the Green. No doubt about it. These players are going to be ones to keep an eye on when they do get situated with a team in this league. Rex Baxter, certainly someone to keep an eye on. Pink has looked better since coming out of the second period break. Trey Murphy is the second unit point guard. He's been captaining a steadier offense.
We mentioned Trey Murphy, a 5'9" point guard, played collegiately at Texas College. He's an all-conference player.
Way to create your own shot there. Steven Yamsa from the mid-range.
Look for Baxter, but swiped away.
You see
Grisby.
Pink now starting to go on a little bit of run, just as we expected. Basketball's a game of runs. I expected them to come out at timeout, settle down a little bit, compete harder on the defensive end, and see if they can create some transition buckets, and they've been able to do so as that pick and roll executed nicely.
Again, that's Nick Johnson.
Another steal, easy layup.
Clamps are really on in transition for Green. They're running kind of a not a full court press, but a 3/4 court press, and it is really working.
Good shot attempt as Murphy creates the foul to stop the transition look. A couple substitutions being made on both sides.
And also, Pink may benefit from that slowdown as Green was kind of picking up that momentum. You talked about basketball being a game of runs, and I think that would have been the start of Green's runs there if that foul was not made.
Good ball movement.
They're feeding the post in Johnson right now, and Pink seems to be collapsing in on it.
Khalil Potts. Slight miss there.
I'm loving the way the Green is competing on the defensive end. It's a good drive. Can't get it to go. Baxter with the rebound. Outlet pass. Pass to the corner, 3-ball, short. Johnson short on that 3.
He's been shooting a lot in the second quarter. He's got the green light.
And one. Coast to coast. Able to get the finish.
Javen Hedgeman slicing on in. Big man with some artillery of post moves as well. Able to keep his footing and has the dexterity to score.
Shoot for 2 here. Baxter with the rebound.
Misses the shot. Hedgeman drives, has it stripped. Outlet pass. This time they're able to stop the transition attack. Still get a good look from 3. No good. Defensive rebound. Ball back into Murphy's hands. Murphy. Nice handle, pulls up, wet. Trey Murphy has the ball on a string. You can see why he was an all-conference player in college.
That was a really good shot off the dribble. Not a lot of players can drive in on a couple of dribbles like that and knock down a shot guarded in the mid-range.
The Pink team has come alive. Still down big.
Now, benefiting from big man Hedgeman there, making plays like that are definitely going to be essential for a Pink team.
Guys, a 10-8 scoring advantage for Pink in the second quarter.
But they can't trade buckets. You cannot trade buckets, especially being down like they are. It's good to see them finally get some shots to fall, but if you want to climb back into it, gotta string together some stops.
So Jace Hickey in control there, but it goes right through the hands of Larry Grisby, so it'll be Green's ball this time.
There's a joke in basketball over the years that I've heard that a pass like that, it hits you right where you don't want it to, right in the hands. You want to be able to reach out and grab it and bring it in on a chest pass like that.
Nice step back jumper. No good. This Pink look like they're packing the paint now defensively. They want to push Green. Everything on the outside is. Most of their points came from inside here in this first half.
Now, a play like that, it's clear that they're letting them play. Low post contact after Murphy carried it in. Stays with Pink from under the basket.
I like that. Basketball is a contact sport. Sometimes you're going to be touched every now and then. You have to play through the physicality and be able to make some of those shots, as that one misses everything, and I don't think there's any windows open in here.
And one finish.
So Green will make their way to the line. Currently still leading 35-19 over Pink. So a substantial lead here, looking to extend that margin, which they will.
This is game one. 4 more after this one. This is our exhibition game here in the No Excuses Basketball Pro-Am League.
No excuses right now from Rex Baxter. He's certainly putting in his work. He's reached double digits by my count. His team doubling up the opposition in Pink.
Deep three.
Able to get that rebound, which is also a good look. You know, you make a play like that,
right.
You definitely want to be able to make up for it.
He's going to love sending that tape off to coaches. Coaches absolutely want to see players, especially guards, follow their shots like that.
And that's a good point you just made. You want to put things on film. You never know who's watching, as we want to give a shout out to our MaxSports.tv being able to have this platform. And some of these players will be able to get film, send it overseas, send it to coaches and players. As we mentioned in the start of our show, as some of the players came through this league and made it to the biggest league in the world. And so you always want to compete and put good stuff on film.
And speaking of competing, as we see Pink get a bucket, draw back within 21. Zach Freeman had a steal there that was complete effort. He maybe was a bit undersized as he was trying to swipe it away on the near sideline, but just won a battle going all the way to the rim. Didn't finish the shot, but still came up with the steal.
You talk about that. People can see that hustle there, especially from minor plays that can turn into big plays like we just saw there from Green. So definitely a good look for Baxter, and definitely in addition to that highlight tape for him.
Baxter got that good tip pass to the corner. Now, 2 free throws. Looks like it's a timeout on the floor.
I think the quarter might be done.
Okay.
Like we said, we're keeping score as best as we can for our Max Sports TV audience. That also includes keeping the clock. It's not being kept right now in the Fertitta Center for this exhibition, but we'll keep you apprised as best we can.
So from the prior half to now, what did you guys see different from Pink Squad and specifically?
Looked like Pink woke up a little bit. They put 14 points on the board compared to just 7 in the opening frame. The free agents appear to be the more talented team, especially from an objective third eye perspective, but it really showed when they came out on the court. There was no questioning Pink's effort there in the second, though. They were going after loose balls. They were working it inside. They weren't taking ridiculous three-point jumpers. So, as you mentioned, the talent is the reason for the gap that we've got right now. But Pink certainly looked like they reeled it in that second and at least put forth a better effort.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I feel like they just found a little bit more of a rhythm and kind of seeing what some of their teammates are capable of. So a lot of one-on-one play, like you said, and as they came out here in the second quarter, kind of settled down a little bit, got some good looks, moved the ball, and they actually got some transition defense. So when I've seen from Green, like just supreme athleticism, playing fast with the make or miss, they're getting the ball up the court rather quickly. And so I've been very impressed with what we've seen so far from Green and to start this game.
Yeah, I will have to third each of what you guys have spoke about. Pink's hustle undoubtedly better this time around. They've been more aggressive, to say the least, and making those major plays still needed. But Green completely just dominating both sides offensively and defensively. And it's a good sight to see how athletic that Green team is, because it also speaks to the caliber of this league and the athletes that are within this league. It's not going to be easy. Even so, this is just an exhibition game, but these guys are able to kind of showcase those talents today and put it all on the court, which I think we've seen from this Green side, especially even the hustle from each one of those players.
Fast pace of play for sure. And we've seen that. Conditioning is always going to be a question mark for non-professional athletes, and that's not a slight by any means to those who are competing here this afternoon. For those who don't condition themselves 24/7, 365 days a year.
Yep.
Nobody's got to tell you that, Paige, because you yourself as a Division I athlete went through the toughest of the tough in a running sport in your time at track and field, getting conditioned at the highest level. Well, that's to say, when you do have semi-professional athletes like we're seeing this afternoon, conditioning is always going to be a question, especially at the beginning of a season like this. Maybe toward the end of the season, a couple of weeks into June, we'll see these guys be much better conditioned. But right now, here in week 1, that has absolutely been a question mark for Pink.
For sure. And you got to wonder, what have some of these guys been doing? Are they 24-hour fitness, getting their runs in? But it was a pandemic, so they maybe just now getting the opportunity to get back out and play. And so fatigue definitely is something to keep an eye on. And once they settle in, as the season starts here, just like almost a week away, June 12th, I expect the conditioning to be a little bit better.
And you spoke about, I actually spoke to one of the players before that about the pandemic and how that's kind of affected their play and even just being connected, overseas. Right now, there were bans in certain countries to even be able to enter their countries. So, just that was an interesting dynamic. So a lot of these players are just grateful for this experience alone, because it gives them an opportunity to gain more highlight tape as they may not have been able to over the past year or so. So definitely, I just love the dynamic and the structure of this league and what it actually stands for and the opportunity that it presents for these players.
Well, just taking a moment to think back to how different of a picture it was this time last year for the semi-professional basketball scene. There's a lot of gyms in Houston that are very popular for players of this caliber to go and condition themselves, and a lot of them were able to get open in May of last year. It was a much different story story here in the state of Texas than it was nationally when it came to reopening and whatnot, for better or for worse. But still, it didn't feel like it does now this time last year with the vaccinations and everything, and cities, countries relaxing their COVID restrictions, and athletics have benefited. Right now we're seeing full stadiums, as we were talking about the NBA playoffs. Major League Baseball and the Houston Astros specifically here locally have rolled all the capacity restrictions back and are letting 100% of fans in. There's a few fans sprinkled in on the far sideline here today, creating a bit of an atmosphere. None of that was on the table this time last year. A tournament like this would have had to have been very closely guarded with masks and COVID restrictions. It's just amazing to see how much things can change in a calendar year.
You know, and you spoke about fans, NBA, and how they have kind of been acting throughout this playoff series. You know, we've had fans try to run on the court, popcorn thrown, water bottles.
Some have succeeded in getting on the court.
Some have very succeeded, but they have also succeeded in being banned indefinitely from being at an NBA game. So, and my question is it worth it?
Absolutely not. And we saw that at the Wizards game. I believe that's what you're referring to, where in one of Washington's games in which they lost in 5 games to the 76ers, a fan simply ran right on down from the lower bowl and got at least 10 steps on the court before being escorted back.
Tried to hit the backboard.
Right, and he certainly did, and that raises the question for player safety. It's you know, somebody runs out there with something they're not supposed to, and they have an unimpeded gash at a player for about 5-10 seconds. You know, it's a very scary situation, and it wasn't exactly the best look for NBA fans as they all returned in the stand. What was it, about 3 weeks, really? Every team, including the New York Knicks and LA Lakers, who had some of the strictest policies for most of the regular season, they all rolled their restrictions back and completely changed the picture. So, yeah, it wasn't, as Paige, as you brought up, it wasn't a great showing as fans returned to NBA arenas.
Definitely isn't worth it, Paige, to answer your question. I mean, I think you definitely have to act civilized at these games and realize the players are humans. They come to work, doing what they love to do. They're getting paid to play the game that they love to play, and you come to watch them play the game that they love to play. So come out and treat them as such, as human beings first, not as a circus or anything other than a human being, something watching them perform. And so definitely isn't worth it. But for the players' sake, and me as a fan, it's good to see fans in the building. I don't want to have the bad light on those particular fans, but just to have fans back in the arena, back watching the game, is huge.
And you know, that point there, because I think about Madison Square Garden and how just loud that matchup was for the Knicks, and even them making a playoff run, how it was essential to have those fans there and what a difference they made, you know, and Trae Young becoming a villain of Madison Square Garden. So, you know, I love just having the fans back in the stands. It's something that we've unable to see last season due to the bubble, but it definitely is a part in an aspect of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I was not sorry to see the Knicks go. I enjoyed the period of time. It's funny just because of the national reputation they have. Us in Houston, I mean, really don't have a reason to dislike the Knicks.
Yeah.
But just everything that blended in. Paige, you mentioned the fan behavior and whatnot, kind of just the general dislikability of the New York brand. I did not miss them not being in the playoffs. I did not miss them being in the playoffs for that 9-year stretch, and wasn't sorry to see them go in 5 games to the Hawks.
I actually feel differently. I lived in New York for 4 years, so I'm a partial Knicks fan.
Okay, so
I've actually been in the Madison Square Garden, so I know what the atmosphere is like, and
a plurality of opinions here on Max Sports TV. That's what we want.
Yep. And so I wasn't happy to see them go, but I was happy to see them make it.
Yeah.
And so I think it is a stepping stone for them going in the right trajectory as far as getting back. Basketball is better. The NBA is better when the Knicks are good. And you know what I liked about that series? I liked rivalries. And I think they're creating a rivalry between New York and Atlanta. NBA is huge on superstars, and they pump superstars, but I like the rivalry brewing between New York. Both of those are young teams, so I really like this. Just check. I think Ice Trey is getting busy right now.
Yeah.
Against
upset alert.
Yeah, against Philadelphia, and Embiid is out. I think Trae Young has like 31 points at the moment. Fourth quarter is getting ready to start. Without Joel Embiid, I think I like the Hawks in that matchup.
Yeah, 31 for Trae. You were spot on, Dion. That is a very interesting development, because if the 76ers don't get it done this year, when are they going to get it done, right? They've been through the process. They've torn it down last year. They got much better this year as the 1 seed in the East. And if they can't get past a team like Atlanta, definitely no shame to Trae Young. That group has been extremely strong since bringing on Nate McMillan back in February.
That was huge.
As the interim head coach. They were a lottery team before making that move. So there's all that to say, there's nothing to insult Atlanta at all, but if you're Philly, you cannot afford to drop that game in a blowout fashion on your home floor in Game 1.
I mean, I think they were out their best player and MVP finalist, Joel Embiid. So, like I said, if without Embiid, the Hawks are talented enough and deep enough, and Capella, looking at that center matchup, he doesn't have to guard Embiid, so he can rim protect, he can run the floor, do all the things that he really does well. But if Joel Embiid's on the floor, he would have his hands full. And so I think the difference between Joel Embiid and Jokic is availability. Jokic, who I think will win the MVP, but if Embiid would have been available and not missed any games, I think he probably would have won the MVP. And so that's the difference between the two. But like I said, man, I love everything about the Atlanta Hawks. I love their young chemistry. You had a great point with Nate McMillan. I think they need to go ahead and finalize him a contract, or maybe he does what players do, bet on himself, see how far he can go, and see what other opportunities present him.
Absolutely. See if we got any Trae Youngs on the floor as we get this second half started.
Pink come out with a bit of an energy here, and if you take a look, I think we've even had a jersey swap here. Now Baxter's playing on the pink team here, so maybe coaches seeing something work well on both teams and kind of want to see if it works well in the opposite direction. So to see that shift in roster change here for the exhibition game,
I think Pink just needs some help.
It just goes to show how wide open things are this afternoon, the exhibition. Again, if we're just now tuning in, things getting going June 12th for the regular season here in the Houston No Excuses Basketball League. John Dunlap, Paige Lawrence, Garrett Jones here with you from the Fertitta Center. Nick Johnson leaves that one short, an offensive board. And a nice follow. That's Rashawn Jackson, who's kind enough to come up and visit with us pregame. Texas State product getting his first bucket.
Played overseas in Mexico, and that's just pure intensity. Missed a shot, staying after it, getting the putback. That's what you expect to see as right there, good answer from three.
That's Joe Hickey bearing his second three. Pink trying to keep up. Look out below, nice adjustment. And the finish. Looked like it was Khalil Potts raining that one home.
Nice athletic ability, adjusting in the air. As we've seen, looks like Green is not really playing that much of a defense anymore with the sizable lead that they have.
Tough three wouldn't go. Yeah, it looked like friendly fire. Baxter maybe forgot that he switched uniforms there. Only in the No Excuses League could you see something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of some confusion there. As I just spoke about, Baxter playing on the green team right before that half and now on the pink. So he had to make some adjustments there. And now we got to have a jump ball.
And guys, how refreshing is it to actually see a jump ball? You cover a lot of high school and collegiate sports. It just is missing that extra element of the game.
One thing I liked in high school, are going to pick up here next year. They're going to implement a shot clock.
Right.
And I think that's going to bode well here in Texas high school basketball.
As Pink tries to transition three. I think the only problem with that, Dion, I think the only reason why they haven't is because when you go all the way to schools that are 1A and 2A, right, it might be hard for them to have that kind of equipment and the people to run it.
Right.
5A schools, like really strong basketball schools like Elkins, the Woodlands, that's not going to be a problem for them to
great point.
Keep that going. But for 1A, 2A schools,
small town
way
schools.
In the middle of nowhere, you look at a school like Brady, for instance, in Central Texas, it's going to be really hard for them to maintain that.
But also, it may just provide opportunities, new opportunities and new experiences. As the sports industry alone is continuously developing, you have to make those adjustments to have those type of athletic programs. So I definitely think, it's going to be difficult, but it's also an opportunity to train someone and get someone that expertise to be able to do so. And maybe someone does do it outside of it. They just never had to do it for that program.
But Deion's absolutely right. It is something that would benefit high school basketball a lot. I don't know if you guys have ever seen footage of the Oregon Girls State Championship about 10 years ago where a school knew it was overmatched and they went and walked the ball into the corner and held it there for as long as they could avoid the press.
Wow.
And it ended up being, I think it was a 7-5 final score. Just because they had to naturally break things up due to the quarters ending and everything like that. And the school that was more talented ended up winning. So a lot of teams criticized that coach's approach. But that's the extreme, of course. You don't see that very often. But, yeah, Deion, I absolutely think you're right in that high school would benefit from a shot clock and a traditional jump ball. Foul in deep as cutting to the cup where Sean Jackson draws contact. He'll go to the line. 6'6", 200-pound frame for Jackson. No slouches here in the no excuses lead. A lot of big bodies down deep.
This is what you can expect throughout the entire season. Good high-level basketball, players that played at different levels, whether it be the junior college level, the D1, Division II, semi-pro. Some of these played overseas. As you see, Mr. Jackson, he played in Mexico, and so he has some professional experience as well. And we're going to continue that. We're going to have some former NBA players coming up in our games to follow as well.
Baxter, book it.
Nice post move from Baxter.
Yeah, like you said, Deion, this league has produced a lot of high caliber athletes that have played in the NBA, G leagues, overseas, different levels. So that just speaks to just the structure of this league and how they're able to combine it all under one. And no excuses. It speaks for itself here in this league.
What a name. I like that name, No Excuses. And that kind of sets the table for just the players. You want to come here, you want to be able to get busy and have no excuses. Leave it all on the floor.
Right.
You win or you don't win. But as this league continues on, it's going to get highly competitive. Trust me. I actually started and interned with Casey in the No Excuses League in 2017. As I mentioned earlier, I had the story about Daniel House. He played in that year, and that was kind of the start from his. After that, he was turned to G League, and we know where he's playing for the Rockets now. But he dominated in that league. And in 2017, played against likes of Jonathan Simmons as Baxter knocks down another three.
He can expand his range. I feel like No Excuses kind of is a great name for the city as well. Very industrious economy in Houston. A lot of gritty, hard workers. Fitting for the basketball league to get that title. I see a whistle here. It'll stay with Pink in the half court. Referee's definitely calling the game tighter here in the third. There'll be a side out. Adrian Pierce tossed it in. This is the exhibition matchup in the No Excuses League showcase from the Fertitta Center. Nice move. Taking what the defense give them. 2 points for Pink. They're back within 17.
That was a tough move getting all the way inside. Is great answer with the triple.
That was Khalil Potts there. Sealing the deal for Green there.
20-point game.
Khalil Potts played at Prairie View. He's been playing with No Excuses for quite a few years now.
Staying ready so he doesn't have to get ready. We talked about that, just being conditioned and ready, and we're seeing him hustle up and down this court on both ends of the ball. So good look for Potts.
And it's coincidental, our friends over at the KDC League, head coach Byron Smith of Prairie View A&M played several games there in its regular season, so it'd be funny for Potts to maybe run into his head coach playing here on the semi-pro circuit. Up ahead, cherry picking. Handle lost, it's out of bounds off of Pink. Steven Yamsa couldn't get the handle. Toss in from the left paint. Potts. Offensive board, a nice putback.
Too many looking there. Too many players just looking at the ball and way to hustle and go get it and get the offensive rebound and put back.
Looking and standing, no motion at all, just eyes moving there, and Wise was able to capitalize there.
Zach Freeman had a big steal in the first half. Nice finger roll for 2.
Way to get all the way to his spot, finish with the rim. See, Green just really not, with the sizable lead they have, up 20-plus points, 24 to be exact. They're really just kind of working on their offense. Good spacing.
Murphy drove the lane. Offensive rebound.
Hedgeman.
Stick with it and good things will come.
We talked about good answer with the tray ball. We talked about fatigue and conditioning. And would you plan on just full-size court? That's definitely something that's going to take a toll because, you know, normal jams isn't as big as the court that they're playing here inside the Fertitta Center.
Right.
But it's also just giving them that real experience as well.
Yep.
And, you know, you can say, hey, we played on a full court, not the half thing. So when you, as far as getting a highlight here, you're definitely getting the real deal, seeing what they can do up and down the court here as far as endurance goes and in that conditioning factor, if that's a thing that you would like to highlight on your highlight tape. So definitely still a good look. I mean, I'm sure scouts will see this UH logo and know exactly where they're at in terms of that highlight tape.
I got to give it for all 200 by 94 in the No Excuses League. Zach Freeman's got 5 third-quarter points. Looking for 8. Offensive board.
Good steal.
Wise gave it up. Body contact.
You got to finish that one, Hedgeman. That's one you have to have. First game is gets his feet up under him. Good transition attack.
So Hedgeman make his way to the free throw. He's been here quite some time here within this matchup.
0 for 2 today at the stripe. Wise a little too soft. They get the offensive board.
Seeing Pink getting those rebounds now.
Hedgeman can't get the tip to go.
Here's Freeman. 3-ball settles home. That's it for the third quarter. Domination for Green. After 3, it's a 65-37 ball game as Pink looks to reel it in the fourth quarter on Max Sports TV.
So I believe that may be the end of regulation
I think
for
you're right.
This time around.
Maybe a little mercy rule here.
Green just completely dominating this matchup against Pink today, and we saw some players kind of switch those uniforms. But overall, guys, what did you like?
Rex Baxter was really impressive, and whoever scoops him up, if he is a free agent after the day, is going to have a nice low post threat. Again, he played at Stephen F. Austin, has some big level high school experience as well as Klein, extremely competitive area of Houston. So he really impressed. He's been professional hooper for several years now in his career and stood out today indeed.
Definitely stood out. I think his versatility will bode well in his league. Nice size. He's shown he can do it on the block. He can actually stretch out and knock the three. But guard play is going to be vital here in this league. And so whichever team guards can control the tempo of the game, create for their teammates, I think it's going to bode well here in this No Excuses League. For that first game, it was good to see just get out and complete, get the cobwebs off, get some of the rust off. And so I'm excited for what's to come.
65-37, the final score in game number 1. Do some recon and let you know as soon as we can who's going to take the floor in game number 2. Again, exhibition games on tap from 1 p.m. to 5 today from the Fertitta Center in downtown Houston. This is the showcase of the Houston No Excuses Basketball League. Regular season action set to commence next Sunday.
So on the topic of basketball, guys, we can't let this conversation continue without speaking our predictions for NBA playoffs. I guess we should start with the East. Who do you guys predict?
I'm sorry, Paige. We have to start with Dallas Clippers.
I was going to say we got a game 7.
Okay, you're right. But you know why I skipped over there? Because I have faith in Luka. I am Luka's
Sounds like you're a little nervous.
I'm not nervous because you know what? Luka's not going to have 2 bad games in a row.
Right.
Okay? And he spoke about PG having a great game. He was like he was killing him offensively. Kawhi, excuse me. Killing him offensively, killing him on the defensive side there. So Luka's not going to allow that to happen twice in a row. I don't believe it.
Right.
So I have faith in my Mavs, okay, to make it to the next conference semis.
I guess make it our Mavs too. I'm a bit nervous. This has been a fun series to watch. Paige, we should. If we look at the first 6 games of the series, we should have every reason to be confident, right? Because for the first time in NBA history, in a 6-game series, no home team won.
Right.
It's in LA today, so everything points Dallas's way that they might be able to get it done. But you set all of that aside in a Game 7. It really, anything can happen. And for me, for Dallas, you go back, the one that I think got away, and I think that if Dallas was able to put this game away, we'd be talking about a second-round matchup with Utah right now. That's Game 3. The Mavs took a 19-point second-quarter lead and let the Clippers back in the game. And sure enough, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard did enough to rally and steal that Game 3 on Dallas's home floor. You look at it, and if Dallas played like it did in Game 5, all things still the same, that dominant performance on Wednesday night in LA, the series would have been over at 4-1, and the Clippers would have been asking a lot of questions. Instead, the door is absolutely open for them to not only win this series, but to get to the NBA Finals with the Lakers out of the West. So everything's boding in the Clippers' favor right now, but the Mavs still are playing with house money. Clippers took them to 6 games last year and ended up taking the series. Nobody really expected this thing to go 7, I don't think. I think a lot of people saw a 5 or 6 game series for the Clippers' advantage. So Dallas is still playing with house money, and I do like LA having 2 superstars more so than Dallas is just the one.
Yep.
You look at the bench unit, there's a lot deeper pieces like Rajon Rondo sneakily coming off the bench for the Clippers. Ivica Zubac has been great in this series for LA. You look at some real weaknesses for the Mavericks in the middle, like Boban Marjanovic has had his moments in the series, but has really struggled to hold his own. And if Tim Hardaway Jr. is not on, then there's no question that LA is going to walk away with the victory today. So there's a ton of question marks for the Mavericks, but you know what? You play the games for a reason, and anything can happen in the 7th game.
Yeah, I'm like you, Garrick. I'm a little nervous for the Mavericks simply because I don't think Luka, I agree with you, Paige, I don't think Luka will have a second consecutive quote-unquote bad game to his standards, only to his standards. But it's not about Luka. Luka's going to do what Luka does, but I think the next evolution for Luka is to get Porzingis looks, to make sure he gets Porzingis going, get your second potential all-star talent going, because your role players like Hardaway, he's doing what he has to do. You got Dorian Finney-Smith knocking down clutch threes, playing tough defense, but I think just for the Mavericks, looking ahead, I think Luka has to do a better job. Only putting the onus on him because he's your superstar. He's your do-it-all player, and the ball is in his hands 90% of the time. And so a lot of people are talking down on Porzingis. He only had 7 points, but just look at the opportunities that he's getting to score. There's no plays being drawn up for him. He isn't getting any looks, but that be aside, as a big man, you got to get on the block and demand the basketball. And so he isn't really doing that. But looking at the Clippers, like you said, they have two superstars. In Game 6, what I noticed was when Luka took a break, Kawhi took a break, Paul George was still on the floor. Yeah. And he was able to propel the Clippers to get that lead, and they never looked back because they were able to bring Kawhi back in and they're able to have that two-head attack. So I think that's the differential between the two teams. And in a Game 7 matchup, Kawhi is going to do what Kawhi did in Game 6. I expect a 40-plus ball game from Kawhi. I expect a different level of tenacity on Kawhi on the defensive end, because if you notice for all the first 5 games, he was willingly switching off of Luka, and I was sitting there watching like, why is he doing that? Why just as a basketball fan, why is he switching? And I know it's Game 6, he fought through the screen. It wasn't no switching. No, I got him, and he made it tough for Luka, but as a great player, as I like what Shaq says, no great player has consecutive bad games. So I expect Luka to bounce back, but it's hard for him to fight through those double teams. He's going to have to give it up, but Porzingis, he's going to, I don't know what the game plan is. They need something for Porzingis. They need to do something to get him looks. Watching the game, I can't just say Porzingis isn't doing nothing because he isn't having the opportunities. He isn't like having plays drawn for him. He isn't like, he doesn't have the opportunity, but he has to be aggressive and create those plays as well. So it's kind of a twofold thing. But as a Mavericks fan, I hope we win, but I'm a little nervous going in a Game 7 with a proven champion like Kawhi Leonard, Rajon Rondo, as you mentioned, on that team. And so I don't know. It's tough, man. It's going to be a tough one, but I think we can get it done.
It's so funny. We might be a bit to the chagrin of our Houston audience here this afternoon with 3 Mavericks fans on the call this afternoon. Bringing you. So we'll have a close eye on that contest as it gets going in about 8 minutes. But absolutely, as you said, there's a funny story about that too. Kristaps Porzingis, when the Mavs traded for him in January of 2019. Obviously, Porzingis was the big get because he was drafted very high by the New York Knicks and developed into a star despite being booed on draft night by his own fan base. And he really blossomed in the NBA until basically just falling out of favor with James Dolan and the New York Knicks. And that team has been atrociously mismanaged over the past decade or so specifically. But Tim Hardaway Jr.'s dad, Tim Hardaway Sr., who's a borderline NBA Hall of Famer, really a successful player in the 90s in the NBA, actually said over the radio this week in a phone interview that Dallas tried to trade initially for Tim Hardaway Jr. and eventually got Kristaps Porzingis as a throw-in in the deal because he was unhappy in New York. And a lot of Mavericks fans will say, oh, it's the Kristaps Porzingis trade. In the playoffs, there's been a bit of a joke that it's the Tim Hardaway trade, right? Because he's been playing much better than KP.
Right.
But Hardaway Sr. this week actually said it actually was the Tim Hardaway Sr. trade because the Mavs went actively after Tim Hardaway Sr. and ended up just getting Kristaps Porzingis as a throw-in. So it's a bit of a funny story, but it's been so interesting to see the way that those two former Knicks have
That's a little bit of homer from the dad, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Man, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Man, we definitely got to give a shout out to Hardaway. Hardaway has been bringing it. Like, he isn't hesitating. He wants those shots. He's taking those shots. He's making those shots, and he's been the second good player that Luka's needed. He's been that good sidekick that Dallas has needed, but it isn't enough. even with his 20-plus points, there have been timely points. Because I watched that last game, in that fourth quarter, he wasn't making those shots that he were in the first 3 quarters. And so it's a guard-driven league. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing from Tim Hardaway Jr., man. He's been playing lights out, making tough shots, timely shots. And we're just going to need more help, whether it's Porzingis, whether it's Dorian Finney-Smith, whether it's Marjanovic. I think they should play Marjanovic a little more. I think he only played 17 minutes, if I remember correctly, in that first matchup. He had 12 points, and it was a span where he really kind of dominated inside. And with Clippers playing small ball per se without Zubac on the floor, I think you want to exercise the advantage that you have inside. And Carlisle, he's a tremendous coach. I think he's been won a coaching battle, in my opinion, in this series.
There's a reason why he's been around for 13 years, and he basically has an eternity because he's got that NBA Finals ring from 2011 and is joined at the hip with Mark Cuban. So if he survived the rebuild in which the Mavericks put up 24 wins 3 seasons ago, he's not going anywhere anytime soon unless he chooses to leave. But absolutely, Donnie. The Mavs have the advantage in the coaching category. Not to say that Tyronn Lue is not a good head coach, because he's won an NBA Finals with Cleveland himself. So these two coaches head-to-head know what they're doing. But you certainly give Dallas the tactical advantage going into Game 7. But again, we've seen this before with the Mavs. They've gotten 2 Game 7s of the first-round series. You go back 4 or 5 seasons ago to San Antonio, when a really talented Spurs team that went on to win the NBA Finals got a 7-game series from an upstart Mavericks team, and they just really haven't been able to break the seal. And ever since that day, winning the NBA Finals on June 12, 2011, coming up on the anniversary of that, the 10-year anniversary of that, feels like a long time ago, the Mavericks have not won a playoff series. Extremely hard to believe.
Right.
But if they can oust that demon today, they have a great chance of not just moving on in the next round, but the window's open for a team like them, like the Nuggets, like the Suns, to make it to the NBA Finals. And you look at any of those 3 teams, they probably, on paper, don't have a chance of taking down the Nets. But one of those 3 teams, in my eyes, is going to take a great step forward in making an NBA Finals appearance, and we'll find out this afternoon if it's at least going to continue to have a chance to be the Mavericks.
What about that performance Kawhi put on, though?
44, I believe. It's pretty spectacular.
It's almost like you can't be mad. Kawhi, he's like a silent assassin, to say the least, about his performances. He kind of toys around the arc there, and that's his sweet spot, is the arc. So when you see him kind of in that mode, it's definitely a dangerous sight to see, because even after he makes those major plays, you will not see a reaction from Kawhi, and that's scary.
Yeah, he stays even keel, and he's a mid-range assassin. He's just around the same playing style of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan as far as his playing style. And just to see him put on a performance, I was happy to see, even though I'm a Mavericks fan. I'm a basketball fan as well. I want to see superstars play like superstars in big-time games. And with all the questions around him, to see him step up and play the way he played in those moments, closeout game, to hear his post-game interview and say, it's simple. I didn't want to go home. I'm not ready to go home. And to see his play back it up, it was a good thing to see. And I can't wait. I want to see. Luka is going to come out today, and I expect a duel between them 2 today.
Yeah, you think if it's to a shootout, it's going to be those 2 for sure. And you go back to Kawhi's development over the years, starting in San Antonio. He was kind of that third fiddle, right, to Tony Parker and Tim Duncan in the twilight of their careers. And when he won the Finals MVP in 2014, I don't know about you guys, but looking at that, you kind of take a look and say, like, what, Kawhi? Like, really, he's the caliber of player that's going to go into that elite fraternity of Finals MVPs? And then you blink, and 3 years later, he's in Toronto carrying a team to an NBA Finals berth, and you're like, okay, yeah, he's absolutely that kind of player. He's Hall of Fame potential for sure if things continue this way in the waning stages of his career. But, yeah, it's just been so interesting to see his ascension from San Antonio, Toronto, and now in L.A.
Just to piggyback on your point, people will kind of question his leadership.
Right.
Just look at his career. When he was in San Antonio, he was with those Hall of Famers. He didn't have to really lead. All he had to do was lace up his boots, come to work, and do what he did. And fast forward to Toronto, Kyle Lowry was their unspoken leader. And then you also had Lou Van Fleet, and so all he had to do again was to come to work and perform. And so now he's in a different spot, and so I think he's kind of forced to be a leader and looked upon to be a leader.
Yeah.
But like Paige said, he doesn't seem to do anything vocally. He just leads with his play. And they're going to need him to compete on both ends of the floor if they want to win, but they're not. Mavericks going to get the dub today.
And I love the fact that this conversation really geared around the dimension of an athlete and where they're at in their career, who they're playing with, because that's definitely essential and a key aspect to how they develop amongst the league. Like, you even look at Julius Randle and his performance this season and his development over this season and how he's beginning to kind of develop into that key player for the Knicks as well. So Kawhi, he's definitely one of those players that he has the type of career path that showing his success now. I think Luka, you brought it up earlier, Dayon, about Luka just being able to get other players started. That's the next dimension for Luka, and I can definitely see that be the next thing for the Mavericks to even get further along into that playoff contention. And I'm just excited. I'm all for it today, just speaking into existence for the Mavs to come out on top over the Clippers and letting the LA teams kind of relax a little bit this year around.
Yeah, because if you look at his position, he really kind of plays a similar role like LeBron James.
Yeah.
The ball's all the way in his hands, and it's kind of, if he kind of will, I think he will go back to the film, look and see, okay, how can I in moments pick and choose my spots to when to be aggressive, when to get my teammates involved, because he can't do it all himself. He's going to need that help. Like, Hardaway is bringing it, but you're going to need the other players like a Porzingis, specifically Porzingis, because he's an all-star talent. But like you said, I can't wait to see it, man. I think it's definitely going to be a good game. As our next game, we're going to have Grind for Mine taking on Flight 713. Flight 713 will be in the black uniforms, and Grind for Mine will be in the all-blue uniforms.
And, guys, a bit of a storyline here. We're talking a lot about NBA. We've got a professional hooper in this game. Jonathan Simmons is going to take the floor with Flight 713. The team name was originally Team Sims, but they switched it on over to Team 713. He'll be wearing uniform number 24, so it'll be extremely interesting to see if he gets in the game today. But they've got significant talent on their roster. As you see, number 50 warming up, Jeremy Combs. You might recognize that name. Yep. He was one of the best players in the SWAC with Texas Southern, playing in his own backyard. Surely played at this court several times in his career as a Tiger. It's a team that made it to the NCAA tournament this season. A lot of good things going under them under Johnny Jones, and Jeremy Combs is a big reason why that program has seen the success that it has. So 2 professional caliber players taking the floor this afternoon for Flight 713. Absolutely a favorite going into this matchup.
And Jonathan Simmons, he's played in this league since 2017 during the pinnacle of his career when he was playing with the Spurs, and then he had just signed with the Orlando Magic. And so he comes out, he plays hard. He isn't going to take it easy on anyone. He's going to play just like he would play in the NBA. So I expect him to come out. I expect him to be aggressive early. I expect him to look to dominate, because that's primarily what he's done when he's played in this No Excuses League. And this is what you can expect on June 12th when the league fully kicks off. You will have even more NBA players pouring in, professional players coming in to play. So make sure you tune in on MaxSports.tv. This is the exhibition play to get ready for what's to come here throughout the summer.
And also taking a look at that roster, I'm seeing a former UH Coug on that Flight 713, Brandon Morris. He'll be number 23 here. So it's good to see him in familiar territory as well for Flight 713. So you guys spoke about just having that talent and what this league will be instilled in. We're seeing that today here at the league.
And another big name peeking out of that Flight 713 roster, Christian James, wearing uniform number 0. You might recognize him. He's been a contributor for Oklahoma over the past several seasons. NCAA tournament caliber every single year. They actually won a game at the Big Dance this year. So James, another addition to what is a stacked bunch of the Flight 713 group. As for team dressed in blue this afternoon, might recognize Khalil Potts from the last game, along with Jalen Wise and Rex Baxter, all making the doubleheader. Rashawn Jackson also joining forces. So several free agents getting multiple looks on back-to-back games here from the Fertitta Center. But absolutely, Flight 713 coming out in the black uniforms is the favorite to take this one. It is worth noting that we haven't seen Jonathan Simmons actually warm up in that uniform number 24. It looks like he's taking the floor right now. So he's going in cold. You got respect for the seasoned veteran and UH Cougar alum.
And like I said, you can expect Simmons to come out and be very aggressive. He's going to compete at a high level. And so it's no surprise. He's going to come out. He's going to be ready to go. I actually had the chance to interview him after a win in 2017 here in this league. And he said, I'm just getting ready to play against the big boys. And I want to come out and let these players know I am who I am. And it's a difference between me and them. So with that mindset, I look for him to continue to come out and dominate.
Yeah, anytime a player has that mindset, they're definitely confident in their play. And, you know, having that confidence definitely speaks to the way that you play. And this is the perfect league. No excuses, and he has none to give.
Game 2 of the No Excuses Showcase. Just about ready to get going from the Fertitta Center in Houston. Keir Jones, Deion Dunlap, and Paige Lawrence with you on the campus of the University of Houston. Flight 713 in black. Free agents blue, their opponents this afternoon. Ball's in the air, secured by blue, and we're underway. Easy bucket right off the rim. Straight to the hole. Cam Reynolds lays it in for 2. In transition, Christian James, the splashdown. Boomer Sooner from the corner. And they're on the board.
See good ball when we're able to get a good shot for Flight 713.
Ripped right down. Kennard Robinson couldn't get that one to go. Here's the man himself, Jonathan Simmons, in the right corner. James. Kennard Robinson tried it.
Hesitation, pull up, gets all the way inside. He's able to finish over Simmons with the left.
So a strong start for Blue. They've got an upset advantage so far. 4-3 ball game.
It'd be 15-minute halves here. As you see, now we have the shot clock on as well here inside.
24-second shot clock. Keep the pace of play high. In the first game, we saw the free agents green really take it to the free agents pink. And here we've got a more organized structure. 3 left well short. That was Josh Simmons trying it. Here's Jonathan in deep and 1. The former Magic Spur and 76er gets the first bucket of his afternoon.
That's just simple basketball. Get out in the open floor. I'm too big, I'm too strong, and I'm too good. He's able to finish over the taller player and go to the line for a potential and 1.
Simmons out of Paris Junior College, Midland, and on to UH, where he starred in the 2011-2012 season. Eventually played some independent ball and worked his way into the G League, where he was discovered by Greg Popovich and turned into a nice role player for the Spurs for several seasons. Jumper too strong, and Boarded down by Ryan White. White one-on-one with the 6'8" Simmons. Step back jack. 6-6 game.
It's Marcus Hall there.
Both of these teams have been playing with each other. I know some of these players played in the free agent game, but they've been playing here in the No Excuses tournament. So this is their traditional team. So you will see a better basketball game as far as chemistry goes, and as far as lack of turnovers. You could tell these teams have played together and have some form of chemistry.
And I'm scared to see what Simmons will do as soon as he heats up even more after we saw him do a slight dunk imitation there. So I'm excited. I definitely think that these teams are playing very much well a game of basketball than our first exhibition game there.
Runner settles home. Early advantage for Blue. Not for long because Christian James lays it up and in. 5 for him early.
This is the exhibition game for what's to come here in the No Excuses Pro League on June 12th. So some of these players just get a good run in, getting their conditioning well as another shot falls for Flight 713.
Shannon Short tickles the twine. It's an 11-8 game.
We talked about something earlier. Daniel House came through this same league at the time where he was looking to make a mark for himself. So Jonathan Simmons, he's had a bit of a taste of success, but isn't in the league right now. But you look for him to take this time serious to work on his game. As you know, he's looking to get back into the league. As Merry Christmas is in December, but he caught a gift up top.
Above the rim, 7 early points for Jonathan Simmons. Nice response by Marcus Hall. This is the head coach.
And we had an out of bounds there. Simmons kind of balancing a foot there, but it was out of bounds. So it will be Flight 713's ball back in the other direction.
Jeremy Combs, the Texas Southern Products, at the scores table, ready to check in. Here's Christian James, former Big 12 star. Clobbered on the way up. He'll go the stripe for the first time this afternoon.
So refs, eyes open this time around.
Yeah, calling a much closer game than we saw in that first one.
Yeah, different talent on the floor, so their antennas are up. Definitely blowing those whistles here early. Great start for Christian James.
He's got 6 to his credit, including the first 3 of the ball game. A little cushion early on for Jonathan Simmons, 7-1-3.
So Grind for Mine looking to still catch on to their rhythm, as a lot of those players on that team actually played in that free agents matchup a little bit earlier. So these guys are definitely warmed up and ready to go, just looking to kind of build that chemistry. As we talked at the Flight 713 already pretty much have that chemistry, and just like that, Sean Bree Jones, 2-pointer.
There's Hall. Baxter in the offensive rebound. They're definitely trying for threes and haven't been able to get one to fall, as Olawaya missed that one. In the corner, James got a little too fancy. Out of bounds off of Blue. Simmons one bound from the left paint. Getting a lot of run here in the early going.
Jones sizes up his defender. Blow by.
Christian James with a nice finish. It's a 7-2 run. Whistle on James.
I always like to look at what shoes basketball players decide to hoop in. Can't help but notice is Christian James are in the Space Jam Jordans. So I wonder, is it the shoes from him with this heck of a start he has going on today?
It must be the shoes.
Also see some Grinches on the floor by Short. Flight 713.
Potts misses the first of two. Definitely seems like a different tempo to this game versus the first. What do you guys see as far as the differential between? Definitely looks like more talent on the floor between both teams here in this game.
It's really interesting to see Jonathan Simmons play in the middle, right? Because he was more of a 2 or 3 combo guard when he was a collegiate player and in the NBA. But he's got the biggest size going for him on the floor this afternoon. So it makes sense that they want to run him in the middle.
I would say a difference in between this exhibition game compared to the first one with the free agents is that these guys have a little bit more experience under their belts as far as the athletes that we saw a little bit earlier. And then if you talk about physique here, these guys look a little bit more in shape compared to the guys a little bit earlier. So maybe these are your guys who done a little bit more of that conditioning aspect. And the athletes that we even spoke about in the free agent realm, those athletes playing now, those are the same athletes that we're seeing here. So a good look for them as Potts at the line here, looking to seal the deal as he does.
Flight 713 taking on Grind for Mine. Simmons in the low post. Combs just checked in. Nice finish for Jonathan Simmons. 9 early points for him to lead all scores.
Good look inside from Baxter. Couldn't get it to drop.
Here he is up top. Marcus Hall. In the low post, Baxter gets whacked.
But Baxter showing that physicality early on here in this matchup against your Flight 713. Not afraid to get those rebounds and be in position to receive those.
Clock stops, just a hair over 5 minutes left for the halftime intermission. Game number 2. It's had to go till 5 o'clock here today. Baxter leaves that one well short.
Jeremy Coleman was called on that last foul. As the season goes on, it's going to be highly competitive, and like Jonathan Simmons, he's typically very aggressive. Even as the games get close, they primarily focus him on the offensive end. He attacks, but yeah, it's a lot of help on his team this year, especially with Christian James.
Cross court, the teardrop. Pulled down by Reynolds. Cam. Offensive rebound. And coach Marcus Hall pulls it in.
Grind for Mine has been controlling the offensive glass, and they get the bucket inside there put in by Marcus Hall.
Also, you really like just the throwback low post, I'm bigger than you style of play. Back to the basket. You don't see it a lot these days.
See if he can convert to traditional three-point players. He has some Jordan 12s on his feet.
I love that you're a resident sneaker guy, Dion. That's awesome. I do think that fans at home always want to hear about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of athletes are trying to imitate what these guys are doing as well. So definitely shoes is an aspect of the game as well.
Stop and pop. Halfway down and out. 6-point game. Grind for Mine keeping it close. Step inside. Here's Reynolds.
Good.
Nice follow.
Good ball movement there for Grind for Mine as Josh Simmons gets it to go inside.
Suddenly you blink and it's a 4-point game, a 5-0 run for Grind for Mine. Simmons and company just need a bucket.
When the game gets close, they put the ball in his hands and he goes to work. As he has his pocket picked.
Get a whistle before any transition play.
One thing about Jonathan Simmons, he talks a little bit of trash.
Yeah, I was just noticing that, but that's definitely a part of the game. And you talk about players who adopt that villain role or even just adopt that aggressiveness on the court. So he's definitely one of those players to do so.
With him playing in the best league, he's one of those players that everyone is going to look to go after.
Mm-hmm.
And so he definitely takes on that challenge. This team right now, on top by 4, they get that one to go.
Marcus Hall put Jeremy Combs on skates. It's a 7-point run. Combs ends that strong finish plus the foul.
Throw it down, young fellow. Jeremy Combs with the answer. He'll go to the line, see if he can convert the 3-point play.
Yeah, that play was very much an answer, to say the least, on that prior play. And he's looking to make himself be known as a force to be reckoned with here in this league.
Combs, before he graduated 2 seasons ago, was by far Texas Southern's best player on a team that was on the fringe of an NCAA tournament berth. They did come through with one in 2021. Houston fans certainly familiar with him as got just a strong competition between schools that are so close to each other in Texas Southern, Houston, and Rice.
One thing I like about Combs, he's one of those old school players that looks to battle inside, do a little bit of everything, rebound. One of those utility players that any team needs on their team.
Hall was too soft around the rim. Baxter got the foul call.
It's a bad foul there, especially fouling a good 3-point shooter. You want to contest. You want to close out to contest and not close out to block a shot, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to block a 3-pointer shot, especially with the size of Baxter. Standing 6'6" tall, you're not going to go up there and block his shot. You want to close out to contest and not close out to block the shot, and you foul and you have 3 free throws coming up.
First one for X is good. And amazingly, it's just a 4-point game. Felt like Flight 713 had some margins going, led by as many as 8. Baxter misses the second one. He can make it a 1-possession game at the stripe. Third one's good. 10 seconds and counting to work with for Flight 713. Simmons with 5. Jonathan heaves. Tip good. Referees wave it off. Flight 713 wants the call. As it stands right now, it'll be a 4-point game going to halftime.
Did you notice there's a continuous clock until in the second half, under 3 minutes, they'll stop the clock at the whistle. In the first half, it's a continuous clock, so 2 15-minute halves, 24-second shot clock here in the No Excuses League. And this is the exhibition games for what's to come. As you see the high-level talent, we got NBA talent, we got semi-pro talent, well, professional talent who played overseas. And so I'm excited for what's to come, and I cannot wait to jump this season off June 12th.
Thanks for tuning in on Max Sports TV, wherever you're watching, on our website at maxsports.tv or at the Max Sports TV Facebook page. We're certainly glad to have you. Garrett Jones, Jan Dunlap, and Paige Lawrence here at halftime. We're scoreboard monitoring for sure. Paige, what's going on in the NBA playoffs?
Yes, scoreboarding watching is me right now. Game 1, ATL will take 128 over 124. So Trae Young, he came out with 35 points, 2 rebounds, 10 assists there. Joel Embiid, 39 points and 4 assists there. So Hawks take the first game, but Game 7, your Mavericks and Clippers. Close game matchup there. Mavericks falling behind by 2 points, currently 9-11. It was still in the first quarter there for Game 7.
We'll be keeping a close eye on that contest certainly this afternoon. How big is that for Atlanta to steal game number 1 on the road as the Sixers did have Joel Embiid instead. Back and underway here in the third. These two teams chomping at the bit to play.
It's Combs on the block. And that's bully ball. And that's what I talked about. He's one of those old school players who look to do it on the block. And that was the philosophy coming out of timeout. Hey, we're going to go to you on the block. You have the size advantage over Simmons, and he's able to draw the contact. He'll go to the line for 2.
Jeremy Combs, the former Texas Southern Tiger.
So I think that should count.
Goes to the line for his first. Left it short. Always tough to find a big man that can be consistent at the free throw line. So interesting as that develops throughout a player coming up through the ranks once they realize that they've got somebody who is going to be a big low post threat. Coaches just kind of relax the shooting training. That's why you see big men that struggle to shoot like we do today.
Yeah, I always wonder though.
Yeah.
I always wonder, is it because their hands are so big?
Right. That's certainly a reason.
Right. But you see players like DeAndre Jordan, who shot around 30-40% his entire career, and then the last couple of years he shot over 70%. That's better than what LeBron James has shot. And so I think it's a little bit of both ways.
Cam Reynolds drills that. It's just a 1-point game. And deep. Here's Ryan White. And Grind for Mine is going to take the lead on the breakaway.
Kennard Robinson getting the finish, putting Grind for Mine up too. They definitely are grinding right now here in the 7-1-3 against Flight 7-1-3, trying to get the victory.
13-3 run, guys.
And one thing I've been noticing is Robinson, particular for Grind for Mine, his hustle, his speed has definitely been showcased here in this matchup against Flight 7-1-3, and it's made a difference for this team. You know, right now they're sitting 24-23 over Flight 7-1-3, but he's definitely been a playmaker for this team in this matchup.
Shannon Short at the free throw line for Flight 7-1-3. Second one rains home to tie the game. 12 minutes to pay dirt in this contest. 2 halves of action for you in the exhibition slate. First time we see Jalen Wise check in for Grind for Mine. Long rebound to Simmons. This could be trouble. Pretty finish. Jonathan Simmons with 11.
Hall made a business decision right there. Just get out of the way. Let Simmons have the easy 2. It's Flight 7-1-3. Takes a 2-point lead.
And sometimes you got to make those type of plays. You know, it wasn't a jam there because it looks like Simmons really wanted to kind of jam it in there if he was going to contest. So good look on that play.
Step back, no. Out of bounds. We'll go back with Grind for Mine. They just took the lead. They can take it back. As we see a substitution, Jeremy Combs gets a breather.
Christian James being inserted back into the game. He's been kind of the player of the first half for Flight 7-1-3. Got out to a tremendous start. He's done it on both ends of the floor, but his scoring is what they're going to need if they want to continue to come out victorious.
Stolen away in deep. Shannon Short. Drive in. Looks like he might have moved the pivot foot there, but he gets a fortuitous whistle. And we'll go to the free throw line.
He has the Kobe's on.
Yeah, the Grinches. And so some Kobe mentality going on right there for Shannon Short.
Got to finish that and one, though.
Yeah.
It's one thing, especially if you have the size. You got to the spot on the floor. You got to capitalize as he's makes the one of 2.
You know, talking more about that Mavs Clippers series, one of the other amazing things has been Luka Doncic and his struggles at the free throw line. career 70% shooter, but he's well below 50 in the playoffs. Was much improved in game number 6, but it's amazing how much that can change the game when a star player can't knock down his foul line shots.
And how much it goes into their psyche as the game gets closer. That's another point for Christian James.
Marcus Hall trying to lead his men back into the game.
Looking at their offensive take, they're playing 5 out. No postman inside, all 5 guards. So they want to space the floor and get some driving lanes or some penetrating kick as a couple substitution made on the floor for Grind for Mine.
It's got to feel good for Cam Reynolds, who just turned away a Jonathan Simmons Hail Mary. When his head hits the pillow tonight, he can say he stole something away from an NBA player.
Yep.
Here's James. There's a rocket over to short. Simmons now playing from the low post.
And Grind for Mine switched their defense to a 3-2 zone. They're now in a 3-2 zone, looking to funnel everything on the perimeter. 5-1-3-7 settles for 3.
3-2 couldn't take advantage of the 3-2, and now it's numbers for Grind for Mine, and it pays off. Josh Simmons hooks it home. 4-point game.
Good look for Simmons inside. Way to finish with a hook shot.
James. Foul on his way in.
Christian James has been unstoppable. He's been able to get inside and been able to penetrate against anyone who's been guarding him. He definitely has the green light, and he's excelled on the offensive end.
James played for Oklahoma from 2015 to 2019. His senior year poured in 14.6 as Simmons flushes home a 3. Back to a 4-point game. 14 for Jonathan Simmons.
Good aggressive drive. Khalil Potts going coast to coast. Good answer.
And it's been amazing to see guys like Potts and Baxter, who are playing their second game of the back-to-back, be able to run with the freshly rested Flight 713.
Simmons makes it look easy with the fadeaway. We talked about conditioning. You mentioned some of these guys may have been in 24-hour fitness, and that's what you do. If you win, you stay on. They won the first game. They're still on the court, and so I know they're just getting their conditioning even well. And so to a point that Paige mentioned, they're now in a good rhythm.
Reynolds. Rebound to James. Averaged 6.2 of those a game in 2019 at OU. Simmons shows the ball.
Gets to his spot.
Simmons trying to create some space there, but unable to do so with Simmons on the guard.
He's playing at a really good pace right now.
Hall. Got it. Cash.
Marcus Hall.
Great awareness by him. He kind of stepped back to ensure that 3-point play.
Marcus is listed as the head coach for Grind for Mine, and nothing like a player coach. Take control of things. You hear a lot of coaches call point guards their coach on the floor. Marcus Hall taking that literally this afternoon.
Yep. He's had a good game so far as well. At the free throw line, creating that contact.
Chandre Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Just under 7 minutes left to play. Been a really competitive contest. He's 2 for 2. Clock stops at 6:41 as both teams will talk things over for this final stretch. Game number 2 in the exhibition showcase from the Fertitta Center on the campus of the University of Houston. This sparkling facility, you might have remembered this as the Hoffine Center. It absolutely got a facelift in the past decade. Paige, you saw this facility transition in your time on campus. It is really the culmination of the revitalization of the UH men's basketball program. Again, when Jonathan Simmons played here in 2012, it was a much different story for UH basketball, but Tillman Fertitta, an alumni of the University of Houston, has poured in a lot of generous donations to this facility, and part of that was getting the naming rights to the building. And ever since then, catalyzed by Kelvin Sampson, it has been up and up for UH Cougar Hoops.
And Kelvin Sampson's already looking ahead. He said, we have our facilities are up to date now, but we're looking to see what's the next to come. He talked about this summer touring some NBA facilities, some other college facilities to see how they can upgrade their facilities even more. And in the practice facility, the women's actually have their own practice court. Coach Ty Diller mentioned how, as Marcus Hall knocks down another jumper, how that's not really likely for women's to have. They used to share a court in the old High-Fives Pavilion, so now they have their own court, and so both teams are definitely satisfied with the upgrades.
4-0 run as Rashawn Jackson goes coast to coast. Just a 1-point game.
Yeah, Flight 73 now going to try to slow down this game. It was going quite fast since that timeout we saw. And look at this. Ryan from mine, a blind pass there.
They take the lead. Josh Simmons strips it on through.
6-0 run after the timeout. Way to answer. And their coach on the floor, Marcus Hall, is spearheading it. He got the bucket, then he just had to assist on the last field goal. As we see Christian James say, enough is enough. Give me the ball, get out of the way, let me create. He does just that, and he'll go back to the free throw line. And we noticed out of that timeout, Jonathan Simmons wasn't on the floor. Now he's at the scorer's table. I think he's going to be subbed back into the game as he knows, like, okay, let me get a quick break, but let me not allow my team to fall out of the rhythm, and he's just now coming back into the game.
Level at 38.
So Simmons will check in for Jones there for Flight 713. 1 of 2 free throws. Edge of the rim gets the rebound.
Combs, yes, the putback. Jeremy Combs, right place, right time. Turnaround, bad shot. Didn't have a good look at the rim.
Yeah, off balance, turnaround, fading away.
Who's got ice in their veins for Flight 713? Wide open. Might be a reason behind that, a whistle against Flight 713. Offensive foul sends it back the other way. Khalil Potts crosses the timeline.
What a
Nice
move.
dribble drive. Marcus Hall ties the game.
What a move by Hall. Then they get the deflection. They get the steal on the other end as Hall pulls it back out.
Hall taking over. Marcus Hall gives Grind for Mine the lead. Upset alert brewing from the Fertitta Center.
Marcus Hall, the 6'2" guard. He played college basketball for the University of Colorado and also spent some time overseas. They're playing in the Turkish basketball league, so he's definitely well experienced within this league.
There's Simmons again. 4-point lead. Largest of the day for the boys in blue.
Grind for mine, turning defense into offense. Look for Jonathan Simmons beginning to take over. Doesn't get the finish, but Combs gets the offensive rebound and the putback.
Simmons missed it right on the doorstep. Jeremy Combs has been in the right place at the right time so many times.
And for the Spurs, Jonathan Simmons was their defensive stopper. As you see Marcus Hall get consecutive buckets, none other than Jonathan Simmons taking on the challenge to guard him.
That would have been a circus shot. It won't settle. Simmons for the lead. Rebound to Potts.
I think he had a 2-on-1 opportunity there with Combs. He settled for the 3. But that's what you get here in exhibition play. You want to get your legs under you. So I'm not going to call that a bad shot here. Team trailing by 2, and definitely with a player of his caliber, definitely can make that shot. What are you guys looking forward to? We'll go for both teams. Start with Grind for Mine. What are they going to have to continue to do to pull out on what would probably be an upset victory going against the high level of talent from the Flight 713?
Well, for me, for Grind for Mine, it's give Marcus Hall the ball and get out of the way. I think that they'll run some isolation plays for him right now. He's taken over the second half. And then for really Team 713, it's got to be just give Jonathan Simmons the ball and let him at least have a chance at taking the lead. In this situation, if you've got an NBA player on the floor, you want the ball in his hands in the final 3 minutes.
And I will also second that as well. You know, Marcus Hall definitely been in possession of the ball, but Potts, he's been playing very well for Grind for Mine. And Grind for Mine giving a little bit more speed there in their play compared to Flight 713. So 713 just looking to kind of play their game here and respond to Grind for Mine, but Grind for Mine not going down without a fight.
Shannon Short, yes.
Nice dribble drive from Shannon Short.
Tie game.
Yeah, I agree. Flight 713. I think you're going to have the ball either in Jonathan Simmons' hands or Christian James. Both of those two players have been hard to guard as Hall turns it over. As I see, they inserted back into the game. Rex Baxter. He's a floor spacer, has good size. And Hall's taking their challenge to guard Jonathan Simmons.
Final 2. Short. Yes! Big time 3, Shannon Short.
5-0 run for Shannon Short. 2 consecutive buckets from him, cashing in from the corner.
How will Grind for Mine respond? A 5-0 run.
Great defense. Christian James getting a tie up.
Cam Reynolds was headed for the hoop.
So we have a jump ball coming.
And again, just such a cool little wrinkle of this league that they actually jump for it compared to the possession arrow. That makes things wide open. Now Simmons, the 6'8" forward, comes up with it.
So you see Flight 713 just trying to kind of slow down the game and navigate through the defensive Grind for Mine at 3-2 formation. But look at this.
And one.
Play by Simmons.
Jonathan Simmons pulls out his do-it-yourself kit, and he takes Hall on a dance. Great finish. He'll go to the line for potential three-point play. This is what I expect from him. When it comes down to clutch time, his team needs a bucket. He takes it upon himself. He's very aggressive. He doesn't take a play off. He doesn't take these games lightly. So if you all tuning in for the first time for the No Excuses Pro Basketball League, this is what you are in store for. So on June 12th, when we kick things off, you do not want to miss a game. We'll have even more high-level basketball players playing.
Combs. Reverse layup, big shot.
About 40 seconds to give in the remaining of this matchup between Flight 713, Grind for Mine, trying to hang on there, and draws a foul there, Marcus Hall.
You know what we noticed? It was a timeout on the floor. Jonathan Simmons wasn't inserted. Grind for Mine went on a 6-0 run. Jonathan Simmons back on the floor. Then we see Flight 713 take a lead, and it looked like they're going to come out victorious here in this game.
He's definitely
9-0 run.
He's definitely one of those guys who can get the rest of the team going.
Clear the one-way. Jonathan Simmons takes off here in the 713 and throws it down.
Exclamation point. What's going to be a nice win for Flight 713. Grind for Mine gave him a great push. There's Reynolds, misses that one. They'll get one last look. Short from half court. Almost. We've seen one made in this building like that from the men this regular season, but that one comes up short. Your final score, Flight 713, Grind for Mine 44. And guys, Jonathan Simmons lives up to the hype and carries his team to a win.
And you see what he's done right now. He's on the floor getting up a few more shots. And this is just work for him. Work. You want to continue to build your game. As we saw, players have played in this league. They propelled themselves to get an opportunity in the biggest league. Daniel House came through this league. He played in the G League after, and now he's playing on the Houston Rockets. Jonathan Simmons, he's been at the top level, so he knows what it takes. He's trying to, I'm sure, get his legs back under him and get another opportunity. So you do not want to miss any of these games. We have a couple more games coming up as more talent coming out on the floor.
You also talk about some other athletes that came from this program. Joseph Young here, he's currently playing in the Chinese Basketball Association over in China. He did play with the University of Houston for a while, but then transferred over to the Oregon Ducks. He's also the son of NBA player Michael Young. So it's a great tradition that he's had and been able to be a part of this league as well. It just speaks to the caliber in the athletic realm of this league, and I'm excited to see what this league is able to provide to us as far as entertainment goes. It's June 12th will be the kickoff of their season here for your No Excuses Pro Summer League.
2 games in the books, another entertaining one coming right up as Max Sports TV's coverage continues. And go back to the Youngs, you might know Jacob Young. No, Paige, you know that family personally. Jacob went on to play at University of Texas after a really strong career of high school basketball stardom here in the Houston area. But for UH fans, got a little too familiar with Jacob head-to-head in the NCAA tournament. The round of 32 nearly carried Rutgers to a win. If not, it had been for that miracle comeback like Quentin Grimes and company.
That was definitely a great storyline to have, with your dad, playing your dad's alma mater and somewhere that your older sibling also played.
Right.
That definitely was a great storyline for him, but now he's graduated on from Rutgers, and now he will actually transfer to Oregon to finish out his last year in the collegiate basketball. So expecting him to do great things on that side of basketball. But like we said, Young family has always been stellar, to say the least, and always key athletes that's come through this U of H athletics program, to say the least. And I'm looking at this facility, and I can't believe just how it would have looked 3-4 years ago. And I ran track here at the University of Houston, so we did spend a little bit of time within the gym as far as utilizing their steps for exercise tactics and things of that nature. And just to see how open this concept is of the Fertitta Center is just beautiful. The doors, the entrance, the levels, the lights. It's so bright in here.
Yeah.
It used to be very dim in the Garrison Gym, and now just to see this state-of-the-art facility, and like Dayon kind of brought up earlier about Coach Sampson visiting some NBA facilities to kind of see what updates he can make, it kind of brings to me that he's looking to stay here for quite a long time to see those improvements being made for this program. So that speaks of the longevity and the family unit that UH Athletics has kind of instilled here in Houston.
Well, he did pick up an extension this season after guiding UH to the NCAA tournament. He doesn't want to go anywhere. His son, Kellen, is on staff. They've developed a lot of really strong connections to the Houston area.
Also, the coaching waiting.
Right.
That was part of the contract details in Coach Sampson. He wanted his son, Kellen, to be the coach in waiting, and he always raves. And I hear players rave about his development as well, because he works primarily with the forwards, so Fabian White, Justin Gorham, Devin Davis, all those players is who Kellen primarily works with, and they all rave about how he helps them grow as a basketball player.
As you mentioned, Paige, it is a sparkling facility now. The old Hofheinz Pavilion could have been described as anything but, really, especially as it progressed toward the 2020s. It just was stuck in the past. You mentioned it was really dark and had the kind of classic 1970s, 1980s bold design, and you can still kind of see that here in the Fertitta Center, but they have taken that and raised it to an advantage instead of a disadvantage, and it is a fine facility.
One thing I like about the Fertitta Center, there isn't a bad seat in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
It's extremely intimate. You're never going to get that with some of the 13,000, 14,000 seat SEC arenas that you might see.
And our next matchup here in the Sky Blue, we're going to have the No Excuses basketball team. Casey Williams, the man who is the head of the No Excuses Pro League, actually has his own team, No Excuses, and they're one of the best teams in the league. They play tough, hard-nosed basketball. They pick up full court. I don't know if they'll pick up full court in this exhibition game, but they're a really good basketball team. They've been together for a while. I'm excited to see them come out and see if they can have a good outing. What do you think about that last matchup?
It was really entertaining. It's just always special to see professional level players go head to head against semi-professional athletes, and I gotta give Grind for Mine a lot of credit. Marcus Hall was a guy who did play professionally overseas, and that kind of showed in the court, especially when he was going jab for jab with Jonathan Simmons. But you wouldn't have noticed a drop-off in play against guys who don't play professionally. Rex Baxter, for example, we've seen him go in back-to-back games. Probably won't see him dress out for game number 3 this afternoon, but there was no drop-off in play in his defense or his offensive ability. And it's pretty impressive for these players to put on their resume that they were able to go head-to-head with guys like Jonathan Simmons, who had a really successful NBA career.
Just seeing him, it kind of puts in perspective how much talent is in the NBA, because you see his size, 6'8", with his way he can handle the ball and play the guard position, but he had the size advantage primarily over every player here. So this kind of put things in perspective for me on really how good the talent is in the NBA and what it takes to be successful.
Just about ready to get going once more. The free agents blue take on the free agents red. Get you the details as soon as we can. This game number 3 of the afternoon, scheduled for exhibition contest from 1 to 5 this evening. As we continue to scoreboard watching the NBA, one game already gone final. The Hawks victorious over the 76ers. Mavs and Clippers in second quarter action. LA with a 2-point advantage. Doncic off to a start as advertised.
Yeah, and I'm looking at just his shooting numbers. I'm looking at his shooting percentage, and he shot the ball well. 19 points, he's 3 of 4 from 3. He's 6 of 8 from the field. So that's what's standing out to me here to start the game for the Mavericks. Well, Kawhi Leonard, as saying, we expect a duel between the two. He has 13 to Luka's 19 in the first quarter. So both of those players as advertised in the first quarter, and they just want to go home. So you need your best players to be best in the biggest games of the year.
It's a winner go home game number 7, so we will keep you updated, basketball fans, as we appreciate your eyeballs and attention this afternoon on Houston No Excuses Men's Basketball League. Again, this is the exhibition round. Games get going on the 12th. The Fertitta Center, the host of this afternoon's contest, sparkling facility on campus at the University of Houston. Red taking on powder blue. Carolina blue, if you will. Ball's in the air, and we're underway. 2:15 at minute halves.
And No Excuses is the team in blue.
In deep, reverse, missed. Red with the rebound. Up deep. No Excuses in transition. Step back, Jay. Got it. 3 points.
As I mentioned, there's No Excuses in the powder blue uniforms. They primarily pick up full court their entire game. So they look to wear you down on the defensive end. And I don't know if they're going to do that in the exhibition game, but might as well do for what's to come. And it looks like they're going to do that. They do get a defensive stop.
These guys look well rested. A very tight first minute of action No excuses, holding on to a 1-bucket lead. Make it 6-0. Rim got a little caught up, so the ball sailed right on through, but don't be mistaken, that's another 3.
Good dribble penetration, 3 ball. Can't get the roll.
No excuses. Another 3-pointer there. Really just very energized here on the offensive and defensive end of the ball here. So looking to see if Showtime can make their way back.
Showtime in red. Competitive choice, we're being told, is in the powder blues. Take a look at some of the rosters.
Yeah, my correction. That is the name of the team. It did slip my mind, but I don't know why I call them. But Competitive Choice is their name. Is Casey Williams is their head coach, and like I said, they've been playing together for a while now. So expect some sets. Expect some good chemistry between here on the Competitive Choice.
Familiar name in Javen Hedgeman, who we saw in game number 1. He's taking the floor for Showtime. Low post feed. This is Show Allen, the namesake of this team. Step back.
And his nickname is The Show. And I must just simply say here, he can get busy. He's a prolific scorer. He's very aggressive on the offensive end. Once he gets 1 or 2 shots to go, he's one of those players that can fill it up.
Step back, good.
Well, with a name like A Show, I hope he can put on a show, Dayon. So we'll definitely be excited to see him as this exhibition day will continue June 12th here every weekend here on Max Sports TV.
Eden Ewing just ripped down a step back J.
He's played a lot of years overseas. As they see him featuring him as, you wouldn't guess his age, but he's up in the late 30s. But he's still in great shape. Looks like he put on a few pounds, but definitely still can get busy.
Big boned and muscular, right?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that weight is not a bad factor.
Right.
Especially in the game of basketball.
At the line, Nick Jones plants the first one down. 8-point ball game. Competitive Choice has rained down 3 triples in the first 5 minutes of action here in the first half. Two for 2. Nate West, offensive foul.
It's a nice move by West on the step back. Hezzy just lost track of the baseline, stepped out of bounds.
I gotta say, it was pretty impressive by West after the whistle flipped the ball almost all the way up to the rafters. Obviously, after the play, but deep triple. Board for Competitive Choice. That's Andre Potts. Crisp ball movement. Step back. Ends up leading to nothing. Cherry picking. Here's Show. Showed the ball and made the finish. Show Allen with 4 early points. Ewing the no look.
Great ball movement, 3 ball.
West had too much time to think about it. Tried to run it out in transition to Sam Shivers. Instead, it's going back with Competitive Choice. Substitution the first time today, we see Carl Nicholas. That's got to be cool for Nicholas wearing that Carolina blue number 23. Obviously made famous by Michael Jordan before he Don the Chicago Bulls red.
What do you guys think about the two legends? We know Michael Krzyzewski said this is going to be his last season, but Roy Williams recently retired, so his last season. So what do you guys think about two of the legends going to be missing in NCAA basketball?
I actually prefer the college game to NBA. I am a college hoops nut, as we see a two-pointer there. Yeah, I'm with you there. Carolina Duke is not going to feel the same without those two. And it's going to be really interesting to see what John Shire and Hubert Davis do with those two programs moving forward, because now there's no star power with the two head coaches' names, right? They're not household names just yet. They're household programs. Right. Definitely both of them have taken a step back in the past 2 seasons. That's probably not going to be something that lasts. But it is. Go ahead, Paige.
Oh, no, I was definitely just going to say I definitely think it's going to be different just because these are two historical programs. And like you said, Gary, two different coaching styles as far as these teams are household names, but the coaches are not household names. So I definitely think it's going to present a different dynamic, but it's a chance to kind of evolve and build on that tradition, to say the least, for these programs.
Right. Allen missed the three, and it's so amazing you go down the lineage of those schools and you think back to them being the second or third head coach since the 1970s for those programs. Dean Smith, obviously a legend there at North Carolina. Mike Krzyzewski has been the one that put Duke on the map, but just goes to show you how incredible of a legacy those two left.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Hubert Davis, although he isn't a household name coaching-wise, he played in the NBA for a number of years. So a lot of these parents kids who be recruiting, they'll be aware of who he is as a basketball player. And so when Coach Krzyzewski leaves, I think North Carolina may have a little bit of edge. I don't know who will be replacing him. They have a huge alumni as far as, and I love how a lot of these players are coming back to coach. So I love, like you, Garrick, I'm a huge college sports fan. Like, I follow it from high school all the way to collegiately, especially football and basketball. So I'm excited to see both of those programs, to see what's next for them.
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting to see how they both rebound from down years. Duke missing the tournament for one of the first times in Mike Krzyzewski's career, and then North Carolina's had 2 pretty bad seasons. They lost in the first round this year after missing the tournament in what would have been in 2020.
You know, an interesting stat that I heard from head coach Kelvin Sampson of the Houston Cougars, in which I didn't realize that 2 of the top 2 recruiting classes from last season, Kentucky and Duke, neither one of those made the tournament.
Yep.
So it isn't all about who can have the best recruiting class is going to lead to success.
And that also, when you talk about recruiting, that also goes back to just development of an athlete. Sometimes I've heard coaches say that they don't look for that top athlete. They look for that number 3, number 4 guy because they feel like they can develop them to be that star player. And we see that time after time, a kid who and you know what? And actually, if you go to the football realm, just think about Tom Brady, how he was drafted very low and he developed as an athlete. So just development of an athlete and having coaches who believe in you to be able to just perform at such a high level, high caliber level, that just speaks to how important it is.
Well, also, college basketball has been revolutionized by the transfer portal, whether it be from COVID-19 and the instant year of eligibility with no questions asked. And now the NCAA is granting every player a one-time transfer with no questions asked. It's created a bit of a almost free agency market, and there's a lot of speculation, especially with Coach Krzyzewski calling it quits this week, as to whether that was something that contributed to him retiring. He says no, but we know better, right? It's absolutely something that the old guard is not pleased with, and it has completely reshaped the landscape of college basketball, because now in the offseason, it's open season. You can throw your name in the transfer portal, and if you want to be recruited, you can talk with several schools. If you decide maybe you don't want to, you can go to the draft or come back. Oh, my. High-flying Andre Potts. Jameel Pink throws it down.
What a pass, what a finish. But I'm actually a fan of the transfer portal. I'm always pro-choice for the student athletes, because at any moment these coaches can up and leave you and just leave you high and dry. And so I'm always,
and they're instantly eligible the next year. That was often consistent complaint from athletes.
Yeah, so I'm definitely pro-choice, and I think I like that, man. And just it bodes well. I don't want to say it bodes well, but I think it has its pros and its cons. I like it for first-year athletes who maybe freshman season or it doesn't go or whatever the case may be, but for players who just decide, I mean, it has pros and its cons. I like players having choices.
Yeah, and that's definitely the pro about the transfer portal, is being able to have that decision and have it at your will, not having to be binded to a contract that doesn't really even benefit you in some cases. But one negative aspect I saw about the transfer portal is that these bigger schools will start kind of picking on the little schools as far as transfer goes. A lot of the bigger schools, power conferences, they have more resources. They have better facilities in some cases. So they're able to kind of persuade athletes to transfer to their schools and picking up from the smaller schools that potentially can have that same success, just not the amount of resources that those schools can have.
It's going to be interesting as the NCAA tries to walk the tightrope as to whether they can find that sweet spot between, as you two mentioned, giving the athletes choices and avoiding a free agency type market. That's what they've got to establish, and right now they don't have that, and you see the frustration from Roy Williams, from John Calipari, from Mike Krzyzewski, the three biggest names in college basketball. And aside from UCLA, who made a run to the Final Four, the Blue Bloods are absolutely struggling because of partially the transfer market. And they don't have the market cornered on getting elite talent anymore.
Yeah, I think it evens the playing field for a lot of these teams because a lot of these programs will be stockpiled with so much talent. You can't play everyone, then they'll be stuck just sitting there. And now these players have the opportunity to say, you know what, I didn't get as much playing time or whatever the case may be. Now they can make a decision to leave. For example, you see a team like Rutgers last year who had a player like Jacob Young who transferred from Texas, but you see how he had another opportunity and how well it bowled. They had a number of transfers as well on their Rutgers team, but you just see how a program is able to revive themselves with players coming from different programs. So I'm all for it, but I just love with these players having a choice to do what's best for them. It's not always going to work, but you make that decision. You have to live with it.
And one other threat that kind of challenges college basketball right now is the amount of minor leagues we're starting to see build, like the minor G League. It's a Gatorade league for high school athletes that they're and even Overtime is doing a new
Overtime
league.
Elite is starting
and
a new league.
Paying athletes six figures to come to that program and be strictly with that program. So that's another threat that you're seeing for college basketball currently, is just how can we pay these athletes and still follow the legislations of NCAA? And I think that's one of the biggest conversations over years that's kind of dwindled now, is can athletes get paid for the things that they've been able to do for their schools and universities?
Well, I know here soon their players are going to be able to earn income off their likeness. So I think that's a step in the right direction.
It's just an ultimate step in the right direction that we're getting the NCAA football franchise video game back. How about you, Dion? That's a big player in,
it's a huge
in our
player.
lives.
I love that game. I love that even better than Madden. I love the Road to Glory. Oh man, I cannot wait till that game comes back.
It's like the sun shining through, right, on what was a very dark day for collegiate athletics. Just a really bad 7 years, and the debate has roared louder than ever. His player likeness, but they're going to find a way to get it done, and the fans are going to be better off because of it. And that's what I think was really lost in that entire discussion about Ed Barron of UCLA, the former basketball player, and the name and likeness debate. The problem that was not discussed was that the fans were the ones who were suffering as competitive choice continues to lead with the big three.
David Burrell knocks down his second three here in the first half.
A lot of hustle from both sides of the ball here for these teams, as looking not to go home. About a minute 27 left in this regulation of game, but these guys giving it all they have here as we go to the free throw line.
Show Allen has stolen the show, no pun intended so far, for team clad in red. First one rips on home. That's Justin Reynolds, who we just saw play for
Reynolds, who one more remaining, cans both. Showtime in the all red uniforms, competitive choice in the sky blue uniforms. We saw some hot shooting to start this game for competitive choice. They've cooled down a little bit. Good defense, good steal.
Show Allen up ahead. Would have been a tough shot. It won't settle. 30 seconds left to play with for competitive choice. Ewing, no. Also away from the ball.
Like it's a touch foul on Mr. Allen.
Inbound for Ewing. They've got 5 seconds to work with. 3 off the side of the stanchion. Ball's loose. Doesn't matter. That ends the first half. 20-18 competitive choice. Making the choice to take the lead. 2-point ball game. A narrow margin over Showtime at the break. And we continue to monitor that Game 7 in the NBA. Provide you with a halftime scoreboard update. This series has just been so close, and Game 7 continues to be so. It's a 5-point game in Southern California. The Clippers 59, the Mavericks 54. Again, in case you weren't with us earlier, the Hawks topped the Bucks 128-124, and then Brooklyn took a 1-0 lead over Milwaukee. Sans Houston, I don't know whether to call him a fan favorite anymore, James Harden.
Yeah, hamstring injury.
Played just 1 minute last night.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. A tough loss, but you have the collection of talent that Brooklyn has, led by arguably the best player on the planet, Kevin Durant.
Certainly an argument right now.
Hey, I think I have Brooklyn going to the finals.
Yeah.
It seems that way. A lot of people had Brooklyn LA as the potential finals matchup, but with LeBron and the Lakers getting bounced in the first round, it is wide open in the NBA. In the West, at least, it seems pretty settled as to who we're going to see in the East.
For the East, though, I've heard a lot of back and forth. They say whoever wins the matchup between the Bucks and the Nets will be who will come out the East.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't write off Milwaukee completely, especially with Harden going down. I know Brooklyn did what they were supposed to do in Game 1. You protect your home court, and so that's what they were supposed to do. But Milwaukee, 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton didn't have as good of a game. They really do have a three-headed monster, and so if they can try to steal one in Brooklyn in Game 2, I do not want to write off Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It's just, in my opinion, I expect Brooklyn to excel out of that matchup, but I think that's going to be a tough, hard-fought series.
Yeah, I definitely have that one going to 7 if Harden can get back healthy enough to perform there, but I definitely have that matchup going to 7.
Out in transition. Competitive choice leaves it short. Just a one-possession game. Really good defensive battle in that first half. There's Jamal Pink guarding Andre Potts. Step back Jay. Rebound tapped right into the waiting arms of Nate West.
Potts short on the jumper.
Oh, I see.
They move the ball around the perimeter. Look to do some isolation up top.
Ewing.
Potts, he's just one of those Energizer Bunny players. He plays 100% miles per hour on both ends, especially on the defensive end. He isn't as prolific as a scorer, so he definitely makes his mark on the defensive end. Looks like he's going to take a break.
Potts. Rebound pulled down by Carl Nicholas. Whistle away from the ball. Jumper.
Competitive choice. Started out hot from. They get the steal. 2-on-1 alley-oop. Good finish. Turning defense into offense.
Two-man game there as Nicholas lays it in. And competitive choice boasts a 4-point lead.
To show guarded by Burrell. Nice pass down low. He's fouled. That's how you execute a pick and roll. Great patience there by Mr. Show, being unselfish, setting his teammate up.
Looked like a pocket pass on the entry. So hard to execute, but when it's done properly, it's a thing of beauty.
Gotta knock down your free throws.
Showtime taking on competitive choice. This is game number 3 of the No Excuses Men's League Showcase. Off the rip. Oh, a big 3. That's huge for Showtime. They leave cheese and lettuce at the foul line, but then knock down a deep tray.
Yeah, you can't get the finish, but you knock down the triple. Then they get the deflection, so it'll stay with competitive choice. Again, these are our exhibition games here in the No Excuses Pro Basketball League. Season scheduled to kick off June 12th right here on MaxSports.tv. As you've seen, we have professional athletes on the floor. A lot of these guys played overseas. We saw Jonathan Simmons, who played at the biggest level in the NBA in our last game. He's able to propel his team to victoria. So we have a huge showcase in for you all summer. You do not want to miss any of the action. We'll have it all here on MaxSports.tv.
Slicing at the cup. Showtime will get to the free throw line once more. Show Allen doing the facilitating there. He'll throw it in. Justin Reynolds gave it up. In deep, nice finish.
Nice look for Shivers. See, his teammate had his man shield and pinned down low. Unselfish play.
Out in transition, stolen away. Up ahead, Burrell. Circus shot attempt, draws the foul.
Burrell is an ultra quick guard. Excels in the open floor. You'll be seeing a lot of him here in this league throughout the summer.
Here's Nate West now. Or for Ewing, former Texas Southern Tiger. Got whacked, wow.
Yeah.
Justin Reynolds laid the boom.
Almost had a steal, but got him up top as he reached across.
West might have got away with an extra step. Ewing, guess the ball doesn't lie.
You see a full court press going. Showtime.
Expect a lot of that for competitive choice.
Dribble drive, nice finish.
Shivers, a nice finish. Then they get the turnover.
So now Showtime, after trailing for most of the ballgame, has built up a 3-point lead. Competitive choice has just really struggled to get anything going offensively in the second half.
And they're going to be one of the best defensive teams in this league. They hang their hat on the defensive end, and they bode well on trying to stop you. When a lot of these teams do not always compete hard on the defensive end, that's where they make their mark. As you see right on cue, they get to steal, get out in the open floor. Foul, and he'll go to the free throw line for 2, but that's what they look to do. So look forward for them in this league. They're coached by Casey Williams, the man who put this league together. And so that's where they hang their hat on the defensive end.
Well,
That one too far up ahead.
Considering this to be an exhibition game, I think that defensive side has definitely been showcased throughout this matchup. So excited to see how they could withstand other teams such as that Flight 713 on the defensive side and see how they're able to kind of balance back and forth between the difference of the teams and their athletes.
Nearly stolen from behind as we move to the final 8. Up ahead. Tried to throw it down, but nothing was there. Now Burrell. Had 2 men, didn't get it to either one of them. Fortunately for them, it's out of bounds off of Showtime.
Yeah, good pass by Burrell. Teammate unable to control it.
Burrell. Jumper. Misses everything, and Competitive Choice struggling to get the ball on the rim right now. And one.
Coast to coast with the finish. Showtime with the 5-point lead, looking to make it 6. And that was a very impressive drive. He went coast to coast. Then he'll go to the line, see if he can convert the 3-point play.
Six and a half left. Showtime starting to pull away with it. 6-point lead, the largest of the game. Burrell. Up for David at Burrell. Giving up
Potts on
and
the
a
inside.
big bucket for Competitive Choice. Bodies hit the floor right by the American Conference logo. As Jameel Pink draws the foul.
Five and a half remaining in this second half. 15-minute halves up in this league this summer.
That was a heat check, and it's rebounded off the Carroll. At Ewing, lost the handle. Up ahead.
Burrell in the open floor, using his quickness all the way to the rim and finish.
Competitive Choice is woken up.
It's hard to defend that type of speed there from Burrell.
As you notice with Competitive Choice, it all started on the defensive end. They picked up their intensity on the defensive end, and it's bolted well on the offensive end for them as Showtime is able to put it in inside.
Slipped through the cracks. 4-point lead. Burrell stuck with it. Nice finish, 2-point game.
Hate to say I told you so, but Burrell, you'll see a lot of him throughout this entire summer. Very ultra quick guard, can get inside, can also shoot the ball, but he gets going offensively. It's tough to guard.
Pink, fortuitous bounce. 3 points for Showtime.
Pink has the shooter's touch as he got the ball. It's Burrell all the way inside, and he'll go to the free throw line for 2.
Burrell has definitely picked up the intensity on the offensive side there, drawing yet another foul here. So he'll go to the line, but definitely a player you want to keep on your team, especially on your guard rims.
5-point lead.
Looks like a timeout on the floor. And what turned into a really good game. First game was pretty non-competitive as the pink free agents and the green free agents kind of felt out what they have. Jonathan Simmons and company and Flight 713 really put on a show in game number 2, especially in the final 5 minutes to run away with it. And now here in a good game number 3, Showtime and Competitive Choice, and a heavyweight clash have not been holding punches.
It's been back and forth all game. Competitive Choice came out with the flurry, knocked down a few three-pointers back-to-back. Then Showtime withstood the first wave. They able to climb back into it. And right now, they're sitting with a 5-point lead. See if they can hold on. Burrell is at the free throw line shooting 2.
Nate West in the line with a big part of Competitive Choice's offensive attack today and splashes down the first. Second one good. One possession game. Shamil Pink.
See, they're now extending, getting into their full court press. Way to break it. Great pass and one. That's how you execute a press break. Get the ball inside. You don't dribble through it. You pass. Look ahead. He's able to flush it down.
Justin Reynolds dropped the anvil. He'll go to the line for one more. Three points the old-fashioned way. Hero ball attempted from Burrell. He missed everything.
Yeah, forced shot right there for Burrell. It's now Competitive Choice looking to do what they primarily do, extend their defense. As we saw, Show Allen, he's been using his offensive threat to make a lot of plays, as he does right on cue for his teammates. That's just great play for him.
And it looked like Competitive Choice was kind of guarding the lane a little too hard down there. They fouled the shooter. And we'll get one more at the charity stripe.
This is the first.
Have a couple subs there from Competitive Choice. Looking to make some final decisions here in the remaining 2 of regulation.
Yeah. Going offense now. A couple more shooters out on the floor.
And Ewing gets the board. Here's Burrell. They need buckets. Ewing. No. Offensive rebound. Nate West in the corner.
West has been quiet since the start of the game.
Carl.
That's a good call. Got him with the body.
Carl Nicholas draws the contact with 1:39 and counting left in the ball game. Still got another game on tap for you. Action set to go until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Nicholas at the line. First one skips on out. Second one for Carl. No, they need those points. Don't come up with either one. And Cam Reynolds makes a super athletic play to keep the ball in.
That's an unnecessary foul right there.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That was definitely a very rough, unnecessary foul. And that's how players definitely get hurt.
60 seconds remaining in the game. 6-point lead. They need to stop right here.
Here's
2
Pink.
possessions. Expect the ball in Showtime's hands.
Allen. Lost the handle. Ed Ewing the steal. And they mark a foul there. 46 seconds. The clock will stop.
Ewing spent 2 seasons at Texas Southern and in Purdue for his first year at his collegiate basketball. Played a bit overseas as well. And gets that offensive rebound.
You get to stop and you get a quick bucket. You need one more stop, see if they look to foul and extend the game. To get a trap there, almost get the turnover.
Look out below. Nice finish and an exclamation point on what's been a clinic this afternoon from Showtime. Could be dangerous again as Reynolds slows things down. Here's Pink. Escapes the trap. And Allen can dribble out a victory in the exhibition game. 38-32 will be the final. Showtime comes from behind and steals one out of the hands of Competitive Choice. That's your ball game in game number 3. Strong performance for Show Allen and company. They take a big win, highlighted by a couple nice plays from Justin Reynolds. And game number 3 belongs to the team clad in red.
Great game right there. We saw the defensive intensity at a high level that entire game. Low scoring game. And Showtime was able to come out victorious. Like we keep saying, this is to show you for what's to come here as the league just a week away before it gets started.
You know, you said it well. This is probably the most defensive game we've seen all day today. And, you know, Showtime and Competitive Choice definitely put on a great performance here and kind of just shed light on what's to come here in June, starting June 12th for the No Excuses Pro League Summer.
I mean, a great summer of hoops. Got you covered all season long on Max Sports TV. Your home for UH Cougars soccer, I should say, and track and field.
Paige, how about the track and field program? They sent a large number of players to regionals. What do you think about what you've seen from them? Just continue with their dominance. It's one of the best track programs in the nation.
Man, the dominance has still been revealed time after time, and even at that regional meet, they're sending a busload to the national meet that will be, I believe, this upcoming weekend, and their performances, to say the least, I expect nothing less of them. You know, on both sides, women and men. You have Brianne Bethel, who's entered in multiple events there, 100, 200, 4x1, 4x4 relay. So she's definitely have a full weekend ahead of her. And also, you know, you had a freshman, Camille Rutherford, come out and perform exceedingly well her freshman year here, and she improved maybe a second faster from last year to now. So just to see her development over the past year in a pandemic as well has been incredible, to say the least. And then on the men's side, you got Sean Mazawani, a freshman star athlete from South Africa, looking an Olympic hopeful as well this year, making his presence being felt in the NCAA with one of the fastest time in the 200 meter, getting that sub 20 time that he needed to qualify for his country. And you know, U of H, like you always say, Dayon, they reload.
Yep.
This team and the culture that it has built is very fitting for UH athletics as a whole, to say the least.
Yep, they don't rebuild, they reload, as they're fully loaded with a collection of talent. You got to highlight their head man, Leroy Burrell, who at one point was one of the fastest men in the world, a Hall of Fame coach, Carl Lewis as well, their entire coaching staff. So the University of Houston, we welcome you to our family, Garrett.
I'm honored to be included. I appreciate the honorary Cougar inclusion.
I want the football team to get back on the right track, man. That's like the missing piece. We have so many successful athletic programs. We look at our football team to get right back, and I think I'm expecting a better season. I think the defense is coming around. I expect the offense with Clayton Toon. He's now fully integrated and coach in our system, and so we keep wide receivers at the playmakers. So our playmakers it's all about defensively, and also for Clayton too at the quarterback position. He has to take that next step.
He does.
I think it's about him taking that next step, not turning the ball over, and really just doing what the team needs him to string together some wins.
So he took advantage of the extra year of eligibility. We'll be back for the Cougs when they get things going against Rice on September 11th in a crosstown rivalry. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Odds makers came out with the over-under wins for schools in the state of Texas. And Texas A&M leads that group with 9.5, coming off of an Orange Bowl win, finishing top 4 in the college football playoff final poll. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
Right behind them is UTSA in the Conference USA at 8.5 wins. Guess who checks in at third?
My Cougars.
UH at 8 wins. That seems a bit high, especially coming off of a 3-win season last year. But Deonte, your expectations nationally, they're engaging in that as well. And a lot of folks think that a senior quarterback like Clayton Tune and a very experienced offensive group can lead that team to what would be an upset run through the American Conference.
I mean, just looking at their schedule, you got Texas Tech, you got Rice, that's a win. We'll call that right now, that's a win.
Yeah.
And then, Grambling, Navy, that's always tough playing Navy with the running attack that they have. Then Tulsa, Tulane, East Carolina. SMU is a really good formidable team down there in Dallas, and so I expect them to be a really good team. They've been done an outstanding job recruiting well. South Florida, that's a tough game, but that's a win. So, I mean, the schedule is in our favor. We don't play Cincinnati in the regular season, so if we do face them, it'll be in the American Athletic Conference Championship game, and so the schedule is favorable for the Cougars. Like I said, it's about quarterback play and defense for the Cougars. I mean, you got the skill position with the wideouts, mobile cars coming back at the running back position, along with Chandler. And so you also have the Texas Tech transfer. His name skips me in the moment, but he'll be eligible to play this year. So offensive line, we can keep Clayton Tune clean. He can stay healthy. I think if he's healthy, I love his upside. He's a dual threat quarterback, can pass and can run. But when I watch the Cougar football, it's all about the defensive end.
Absolutely. Grant Stewart, an NFL draftee, Peyton Turner, a first-round pick. They are really establishing themselves on the defensive unit under Dana Holgorsen.
Yeah, they have to be able to get some stops, man.
Yeah.
Have to be able to stop some people.
I think the stops is their biggest thing, and it's interesting to see throughout the coaches changes we've seen within this program that has constantly kind of been the biggest issue for the U of H football program as well. So maybe that's something that they'll look into this year as far as transfer goes. And then you also have like a lot of guys who are looking to stay home now. Being Texas and U of H is just a great opportunity and a great environment to be in. You're seeing a lot of athletes just being gravitated to staying here in Houston and looking to just be a part of that culture and rebuild this team. But as we take a look here, I believe we're gonna have two new teams here, as I believe Flight 713 will be in your black jerseys today.
It looks like Showtime's going to go on the back-to-back of a doubleheader. I believe with them playing their second game and the schedule running from 1 to 5 today, this could be the last contest of the evening. Not quite sure. We don't have any guidance just yet, but either way, we'll treat it like it is. And these fine athletes coming out looking for another great showcase game.
And it's just like any local gym, you win, you stay on.
Right.
Showtime, they got the victory over competitive choice in our last game, and they're staying on. Flight 713, they came out victorious earlier today, led by Jonathan Simmons, who isn't on the floor now.
So Simmons goes one and done. In deep, nice finish.
James with a beautiful layup.
I look for Christian James to have a huge day. Without Jonathan Simmons on the floor, he is by far the go-to. Shannon Short also going to have a big impact along with Jeremy Combs, who actually gets a start after starting out on the bench in that first game.
Correction, that was actually Shane Jones with the finish for Flight 713 to get the scoring going.
I was trying to.
Fourth game of the afternoon. All Karams away. Swept in and stolen by Short.
So Showtime going against another defensive team here. Flight 713 definitely showed their skills on both sides of the ball here, but Showtime may have some difficulty going against the 713's defense.
I'll be curious to see how both teams come out of the gate, because Flight 713 had a slow start. So did Showtime. They were trailing competitive choice for most of that first half. They can't both do that in this game. Something's got to give.
As Combs banks it in from the free throw line.
Doesn't matter, right? Any way that it'll go in.
Any way to go.
Nobody's going to harp you for that. 1 for 2 for Jeremy Combs.
I agree with you. For Flight 713, no Jonathan Simmons. Christian James should be the go-to player for Flight 713 as Pink unable to get his floater to go. Scrambles for the offensive rebound. Show unable to drop it in from 3. Nice ball handling by Jones out to James.
Up top, no finish. And a slow start for Showtime offensively. 2.5 minutes in, no points on the board. And Showtime had to go all the way up, almost halfway up the steps here in the lower bowl to go grab that one from Rowan onto the concourse.
Shannon Smart has some clutch buckets down the stretch for Flight 713. It's a moving screen on Combs, so it's an offensive foul. He is also another player to keep an eye on with no Jonathan Simmons here in the second game for Flight 713 offensively. Shivers got caught in no man's land there. Jumped in the air, was undecided between the pass and shoot.
No points on the board for Showtime. Flight 713 with a nice cushion. James, cold-blooded, just stared his man down and drills the 3.
6-0 run to start this game. And we talked about both teams got out and slow starts in both of their games. Looks like another slow start for Showtime as Combs puts on the show with a beautiful finger roll in transition. So it's an 8-0 run. Flight 713, strong start here in their second game of the day.
And the thing that impressed me on that play was Combs can really handle the ball.
Yeah.
He's not just your standard big man that you just toss it in the low post and give him a dribble or two to get to the bucket. He's pretty nice in transition there as well.
You mentioned start at Texas Southern.
Combs being that versatile player, definitely something that a lot of these coaches look for a player to be able to not just do one thing well, but do multiple things well. And he's definitely one of those athletes to do so.
They're coming out of this timeout for Showtime to get the ball in Show Allen's hands, a.k.a. The Show. See if he can settle them down a lot offensively. He was primarily a playmaker, did some scoring in that first half, but as I expected, ball in his hands, he creates for his teammates. Good look, just unable to knock it down.
And James grabs the long board. Live from the Fertitta Center this afternoon, Garrett Jones, Deion Dunlap, and Paige Lawrence with you. And this historic building, rebranded as the Fertitta Center a few years ago. Formerly the Hofheinz Pavilion, the home to Phi Slamma Jamma.
In the last game here in the Hofheinz, it was good to see members of the Phi Slamma Jamma come out, and I actually remember Hakeem Olajuwon going up and still showing that he can dunk at his age, and so that was a beautiful thing to see.
H-Town legend. No points for Showtime. Finally on the board with the N1.
And they done it by crashing the offensive glass. That's how they get on the board, see if they can convert this three-point play.
Five-point ball game. Fadeaway. Oh, man. Pretty finish off the glass. 2 points for Shannon Shorter.
Shannon Shorter, 6'4". He's played for teams in 11 countries, including China, Argentina, Japan, Israel, Mexico, Turkey, and France. So he is well-versed
That's amazing, Paige. Good find there. I wonder if we got a chance to talk to him, how many languages he at least knows partially.
That'd be a great question.
Nice finish for Showtime. Out of Paris Junior College in 2011. Yeah, that's one of those guys that just has an unquestioned love for the game. No matter where in the world it is, he's ready to play.
He's also a Houston native. A lot of these guys are actually Houston natives coming back here to just get a couple workouts in with this league and, play against some high caliber guys, and Shannon Shorter being one of those guys as well.
What you guys think about the collection of talent that comes out of the state of Texas? For years, Texas was thought about as a football state, but if you look at like collegiate basketball, it was a point in time where there were a number of Texas teams ranked. You had the University of Texas, of course. You had the Houston Cougars, the Baylor, eventually the national champions. Texas Tech had a good run last year. So what do you guys think about the collection of talent that comes out of the state of Texas?
Yeah, it's been amazing, the uptick recently as Combs finishes in deep. You look at high caliber prospects, 5-star like RJ Hampton didn't go to college, but he played internationally in New Zealand. But you look back even a couple years further than that, we've seen some national champions like Justin Jackson come through out of Tomball, specifically in the Houston area, and then Quentin Grimes from the Woodlands.
Right.
You keep on going down the list. We talked about Jacob Young. There's some really strong players from the Houston area specifically.
Cade Cunningham, we mentioned him.
Of course, from Arlington Martin High School, probably going to play in state with the Rockets. Obviously, that's not a for sure thing, but it is.
Speak it up.
Yeah.
But growing up, that's always been the biggest thing, especially being a track and field athlete and seeing other teams from other states. Most of the time it was Texas, California, and Florida.
Yep.
That was the big three, literally. So I definitely think Texas breeds these state-of-the-art athletes, and that's why you can kind of see that these programs reflect that as well.
And part of that is just take a look at those three states and their top 10 each in the nationally in population. So it makes a little sense. You've got a higher chance of producing that talent, but at the same time, just the depth of the programs from public schools to select facilities, whatever have you, into places like Florida and the IMG Academy where strong athletes can go specifically to gear up to play at the collegiate level. It's amazing to see how much top-tier talent is produced from those states.
That first free throw put in for Mr. Jones.
One more coming for him. So we had a few subs there. It's good, so he'll go 2 for 2 at line.
John, do my eyes mistake me over there? Do we have a scoreboard update in Game 7 with the Mavs on top?
Mavs on top, 81-80 right now. And it looks like there's a Kristaps Porzingis sighting in LA. He has 14 points, 6 of 11 from the field. But Luka's doing what Luka does. 31 points, Hardaway's adding 11. Dorian Finney-Smith has 13 for the Clippers. They're led by Kawhi Leonard. He has 17. Paul George with 15. Morris Sr. with 12. And Nicholas Batum with 11. And off the bench, they have Torrance Mann with 13. So a well-balanced attack for the Clippers.
No matter what happens, I'm just impressed that the Mavs were able to come back from 8 down at halftime. That could have been really the point where things boded the Clippers' way, but these two are just so evenly matched.
Beautiful reverse layup. Jones and one.
Jones.
Able to finish through the contact.
And looks like the Clippers have taken a 5-point lead at this point. So we'll keep an eye on that one as it goes down the stretch. This game might go final before Mavs and Clippers does, but either way, it's been a privilege to scoreboard watch with you this afternoon while talking over some live hoops in the exhibition round. Again, June 12th. Mark your calendars, circle it. MaxSportsTV.com, Max Sports Facebook page. You can find regular season action of the No Excuses Summer Pro League. Jonathan Simmons, the biggest name. Step back, no. Long rebound, knocked down by Chandre Jones.
Beautiful handle by Jones behind his back. Go out in the open floor and create contact.
Jones showing up here for your Flight 713, contesting and getting those foul calls here, playing a great offensive game here pretty quick. And I don't believe Showtime is ready for his performance.
First one at the line's good. They have really pulled away. It's a 14-point lead. You look down at a group like Fight 713 can take it right to you.
And just like in their first game, they've excelled in transition, getting out in the open floor and letting these high caliber athletes get the space.
Pink. A follow goes. Spin away by Shorter. Step back. Oh!
Tipping the top of that backboard there, but he seals the deal in the corner short.
There might have been some luck on that shot, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Paige, I think that went off the top corner of the backboard at an angle and then just sliced on into the hoop. Everything going Flight 713's way.
It's one of those shots you see in the game, of course.
And as you can see, the jumper there indicates they're willing to try their luck right now.
And you can also tell that these guys are having fun, you know.
Absolutely.
In these exhibition games, just trying to figure out what you can do, where you're at as far as conditioning levels goes, and what do you need to work on as far as a player. Players pulling up deep there.
It's got to feel better to play a pickup style game of basketball with the same uniforms, with players you know, with a scoreboard, and playing at a facility like the Fertitta Center. It's got to be good for these guys to play organized basketball after it's kind of taken a hit, at least at the semi-pro level over the past year due to the pandemic.
Yeah, they were unable to play last season, so a season away, and I'm sure they're happy to be back out here, like you said, playing organized basketball with the players who you're familiar with.
Clock stops. 1:34 left in the first half after the lob. Flight 713 putting on a show. Deep threes, bank shots, and alley-oops to boot. They're getting everything to go their way.
I'm sensing a little bit of fatigue from Showtime. This is their back-to-back game. On Flight 713 is their second game of the day, but they had a break in between games, so they have more of the fresher legs. We'll see in the second half if Showtime can maybe get their win and see if they can go on a run.
And again, we don't know if we're going to have a game after this. It doesn't look like anybody's suited up, ready to go next, but you never really know. Maybe here if there is one, but if this is the last game of the afternoon, it's a bookend to what has been a great afternoon of hoops. We've seen some really competitive games, specifically game number 2 was a lot of fun involving these Flight 7-3, picking up their first win of the day. Looking for a second one here without Jonathan Simmons, and now numbers in transition. Ice cream scoop on a hot summer day. Layup settles home, plus the whistle. Show Allen, the namesake of this team, gets a big bucket.
He started in this league for a number of years, and all it takes for him to get one to go, he'll be very aggressive.
Final minute of the first half. James, book it.
And James let him know, hey, you better stop doing that and come out and get your hand up.
Right. Don't leave me uncontested. And just like that, a steal.
The one way.
And the dunk. 5-point swing on the shoulders of Christian James.
Jones trying to silence the competition there. Missing it all.
And they're going for the kill shot here. Pushed in the floor in the final 10 seconds. Shorter. His heave. No. Showtime holds its ground, but trailing by 15. Flight 713, led by a couple highlight reel plays from Christian James, is up by 15 at the break.
Yes, today has been eventful and a great insight to what this summer will bring with your No Excuses Pro Summer League, and these players giving us a bit of what to expect this summer, and I like what I see thus far.
Without a doubt, definitely like what I see, and it's good to hear like the players out here talking to each other on the defensive end. It lets you know how much they care and how much they're actually competing and want to win the basketball game. And so this is our exhibition, letting these players get a chance to play together, organized with some referees, like Gary just said. And so they're taking advantage of that. And next week, they're not going to hold back. It's going to be counted against wins and losses. And so each team is going to be playing even more extremely hard.
20 seconds away from the start of the second half. Players to keep an eye on for sure. Christian James for Flight 713 leading the charge. And as for Showtime, they're going to need a show from Show Allen in the second half to keep things competitive in what appears to be the final game of the afternoon.
And that was one of our players to watch in this game with no Jonathan Simmons. We're expecting Christian James to step up, and he's done just that in the first half.
I think it's even better to say that he's done more than that. And Showtime not seeing him as a threat leaves him open to have free range here in this matchup against one another.
All right, it'll be Showtime ball out of the break. They're in red now, moving right to left. Flight 7-3 in the black uniforms trying to just bring it home in the second half.
James.
Right on through. Said, excuse me, and just sliced to the rim.
Thought he was going to throw it down, but
yeah.
a little grace with the rim.
Fired in deep. Missed assignment. And an easy 2 points for Showtime.
Great look there from Allen. Talked about his ability to score the basketball, but he's made some quite impressive passes creating for his teammates today. You have a player who can score at his rate. You want to see, that's what makes good from great, is players being able to make their teammates better and make the game easier for your teammates.
And that reminds me, just speaking of the dimension of a player we talking about a little bit earlier, and how you can kind of get your teammates started as well, not just you playing your game, but playing such a great game of basketball to where you influence others. And just like that, James.
He's in a really good rhythm today.
One fluid motion for Christian James. Averaged nearly 15 points a game in his senior year at Oklahoma. Back at home and balling out today. Pink got it.
3-ball corner pocket for Mr. Pink.
Haven't seen a lot of threes falling for Showtime in this game. And in case you're just now joining us, they did take a win in game number 3. Max Sports TV does want to take time to thank the OVG facilities and the University of Houston for allowing us to play here at this sparkling facility this afternoon.
You're able to stream Max Sport TV on pretty much all apps, and even if you have a smart TV, you can find that on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. All of these devices, you're able to find Max Sports TV and all the sports that we do stream.
And deep, a nice finish with the two-hand flush. We really mean that when we say that. This is a first-class facility. We talked it up all day long, the former Hofheinz facility. Home of the UH Cougars men's and women's basketball teams. 2 points there for Flight 713, occupying a 17-point lead. 11 minutes to go down the stretch. And you sure to come back with us next week. James. Welcome back to the game, Jeremy Combs. And one.
Definitely been a key and pivotal player here for Flight 713. Even in that first matchup we saw earlier against Grind for Mine. So seeing him check into the game against Showtime has been a great asset as well. And he'll be at the free throw line.
Player that started at Texas Southern.
As the third quarter comes to an end, things are not looking good for the Mavericks, guys. 97-83. The Clippers have gotten hot and are pulling away.
I mean, it's kind of what we expected as objective Mavericks fans. Right. I mean, we knew it was going to be tough as Kennard knocked down a three.
That's when you know you're going to lose, when Luke Kennard is knocking down threes. No insult to him, he's an NBA player, but...
It's just more so the players when the players that are not usually hot become hot.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
And I think that's what we kind of saw from that last game for the Lakers and the Suns as well.
And obviously a lot of time left in the ball game, but guys, I don't know about you, coming into the matchup, thought that the Mavs were definitely the less taluted team head-to-head against the Clippers.
Without a doubt.
It's just so strange to see them perform so well in the series and then in the end come up short. You feel you almost got tricked into thinking that they could have been the better team, but in the end it looks like the quote-unquote correct results coming into the series is going to come to play.
A lot of basketball to be played.
There sure is.
And if you think about it, at the beginning of the series, I think the Mavs went up 2-0 over them. And Coach Lue made a statement stating that he was not worried. He was not concerned. And I think a lot of people were kind of on the fence of why were you not concerned of being down those 2 games there. But now I definitely understand, and that's why we're at Game 7 here. Mavs are down 100-85 now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to come back at home, Game 7, with the likes of Kawhi Leonard. He hasn't had such a strong game as he did in their first matchup. Has 22 points, but they have 5 players in double figures, so that just plays to the depth that you just mentioned, Garrett. 4 players in double figures for the Mavericks. As Show Allen gets it to go inside. Christian James has been an impressive outing here today. I expect him to have a really good summer. I look forward for the 1-2 attack with him and Jonathan Simmons here in this summer league.
Yeah, he definitely looks ready for this summer. Maybe a few kinks to work out here and there, but overall, as conditions speaking, he's definitely in shape and ready to go this summer league.
And don't look now, but Showtime with a quick 6-0 burst is kind of clawing back into the game. Just a 13-point affair right now.
Get a couple stops, make a couple shots, and you'll be right back in it. Basketball is a game of runs. As you see, just under 7:30 remaining left in the game. A lot of time.
Entering the game for Flight 713. Just trying to put the finishing polishes on their group, getting ready for the regular season.
Combs on the block.
It's a good time for him to get his sea legs under him. Took 3 tries, but ended up settling home.
Past his offensive rebounding totals there as he puts it on the glass, got it right back, puts it in.
There's the show.
Show Allen 3-ball.
He can fill it up. can really fill it up.
Shorter. Jones.
Physical play.
No call until he hit the deck. That might be the standard. If you're not on the floor, you're not getting a foul call in a game like this. Been a really mixture of what we've seen today as far as how the games have been called. First game was wide open. They definitely let the players play. This is tightly officiated in game number 2, and then here in game number 4, we're seeing kind of a return from what we saw earlier this afternoon.
I like that for the No Excuses League and giving the players an opportunity to try out. Like, we have a collection of teams already set, and if you watched our very first game, we had 2 free agent teams who were both vying for a roster spot on the team, so maybe a team could pick them up, or I'm expecting Casey maybe to create another team with some of those free agent talent.
Right.
There's a lot of talent there, so that's a really good thing for this league as well.
Guys from all over the world here, international, in Houston, collegiate, played in some type of league already. So this league has a lot of diversity as far as the players and where they come from.
Flight 713 looking for win number 2 in the afternoon.
It's going to bode well into their confidence if they're able to hold on. It's just a block party inside the Fertitta Center.
No.
Anybody in red invited.
Couldn't have said it any better.
But yeah, Flight 713 can hold on to this lead. I think it'll bode well for their confidence as we start league play on the 12th.
Christian James throws it in.
No, they're confident with the collection of talent that they have, but when you're able to put it out on the floor and you see it come together like you think it can, I think they're going to be hard to beat.
Shorter faces up. James through the elbow. No call. Allen walks away from the floor, so it's a 5-on-4 right now. But
you see, as soon as they got the ball, look, his hands are out. He pulls up. Can't get the roll.
Nice follow in the finish. 10-point game.
A lot of time left.
Low post entry. James. From behind a whistle.
A lot of fouling here as we dwindle down time at the 4.5-minute range.
Short, throw it in. Explosive move from Combs. Couldn't finish. Chases down the board. Wide open. Got it.
3 from the wing.
3 points.
Oh man, this is tough to watch. Flight 713 just dominating the remaining half here over Showtime.
Triple. Good.
Good shot there for Shivers. What an answer. Lead back.
Showtime's been much better in the second half.
That's what I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what we talked about on the back-to-back game. Maybe you're a little fatigued. You get the break
Right.
at halftime. Now they settled in a little bit. Now we see a closer game.
We're seeing a lot of that too for Flight 713. Just guys trying to test their range. As we see a quick bucket there, we get a whistle. Final 3:34 left in the ball game, and presumably the afternoon in the H-Town No Excuses Summer League. 3:37 after the break, as Flight 713 looks to bring home victory number 2 in the afternoon.
.337 remaining. You see on your screen here in the second half. Paige, what does Showtime need to do if they plan on climbing back and getting into this league?
honestly play their own game. I think a lot of the teams have had some success against Flight 73 in those runs when they kind of navigate their own game and not play to 713s. We're seeing 713, they talk a lot, so that can get into the mental aspect of the athletes, and we're kind of seeing that for Showtime right now. So really just sticking to their game and sticking to their mechanics, and that's something that they can honestly take with them into the beginning of this league starting next week. And I think that they can also have some great success in this league too.
Great hesitation there by Mr. Jones. He creates the contact. He'll go to the free throw line for 2. And I agree with you. I don't think you want to get in a racing or a running match with Flight 713.
Yeah.
I think you want to slow the game down, execute in a half-court set, and see if you can cause some turnovers for 713 or make them settle for some three-point shots, in which we saw them. They can knock them down, but I think if you want to keep them out of the paint, make them settle for some jumpers. I think Showtime can get back into it as Jones goes 2 for 2 from the line, lead now. Back to 10. No look pass as Schubert stops. And it's a turnover by Allen.
So yeah, some great anticipation being built here for your No Excuses Summer Pro League, as these teams are playing very physical, still very on. 2 minutes remaining in this last game of the evening, as far as we know.
Jones tried to split 2 defenders to no avail, turned it over, so a easy layup for Showtime. Down by 8.
Showtime looking for that sweet spot, but still unable to, and unnecessary foul there. Short would direct some offense here for Flight 713.
Yeah, it's an isolation. He has a size advantage. He pulls up and he's fouled. He knew he had the size advantage over Pink, so let's get out of my way. He can't guard me. Let me work out. Works out, and he goes to the free throw line for 2. Clock continues to roll with just under 110 left here in the second half.
Short looking to do 2 for 2 here, and he does.
Shivers pulls up. Cash. Timely 3. Down by 7. Under 60 seconds remaining. He almost gets the steal. They get the turnover. Allen outlet pass. Quick 2 points, down to 5.
We're seeing Showtime picking up some speed here. About 40 seconds remaining in regulation. But Combs, ball in hands. Combs just makes his own space in that lane.
Big game for him. He's been keeping Flight 713 afloat.
Back-to-back threes for Sheriff's, lead down to 3.
This thing got interesting quick. "17 ticks on the clock." This has been such an impressive second half by Showtime overall.
Yep.
June 12th is when things really get going. This is the exhibition.
He missed the first.
Door is open for Showtime.
This is both there. And we'll go in Showtime's direction.
unbelievable how Flight 713 has really collapsed in the second half. They've left the door open.
Mm-hmm.
They were leading by double digits at halftime.
Yeah, took their foot off the gas, got complacent. I think they're really confident that this game was really under wraps. But like you said, they left the door open.
Yeah, and guys really just experimenting in this half for Flight 713, being that they had that 20-point margin going into the second half. And guys just trying some trick shots as well that we've kind of seen here in Showtime, not taking it lightly as they've been trying to climb back against that margin that they was created against Flight 713. So Showtime trying to make something shake here. 17 seconds remaining in regulation. I'm not sure if that's enough time, but we've seen a lot of things happen in the past 15 seconds, to say the least.
Absolutely. Flight 713 can wrap up their second win of the day. Showtime trying to do the same. Momentum on the line going into the regular season. Trap at half court. Allen escapes. Heave. Just short. Offensive board. A second chance. No! That would have been something, but Flight 713 hangs on to win. 59-50 the final. Last gasps there from Showtime. They end up coming up just short in their fierce second half rally.
What a game.
Game number 4 is wrapped up with Flight 713 going 2-0 on the afternoon.
I can definitely say throughout today's eventful exhibition, these teams have kind of built the anticipation throughout the league from each game, and we've saw the athleticism showcased here today in your summer league exhibition.
Definitely high level talent. This isn't your regular summer pro league that you can go to 24-hour fitness and see. This is high level basketball for players who play collegiately and professionally. So be sure to tune in on June 12th on Mag Sports TV. You do not want to miss any of their action. We'll even have more professionals pouring in, as we'll have full completion teams being able to compete. This was just our exhibition game, so we'll have the full set of teams and full rosters and all of that on display for you coming up on the 12th.
Max Sports also would like to thank Greg Williams and the No Excuse Foundation for their work with kids, making things happen today. Appreciate their support. Appreciate everybody having us out at the Fertitta Center, OVG facilities in the University of Houston. Be sure to check out our app as well, available on every platforms. For Paige Lawrence and Deion Dunlap, I'm Garrett Jones saying goodbye. Guys, final thoughts before we eschew our audience.
I've enjoyed it, man. I think I started working, actually interned with the No Excuses League in 2017, and the likes of Montrezl Harrell, Daniel House, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Cannon, Joe Young, the list goes on and on from players that played in this league, and so I expect a lot of those players to return, and so I'm just really, really excited. I'm glad our Mag Sports family can now join us and actually broadcast, give viewers an opportunity to see this talent play. And I'm alongside the best, so I enjoy working with you guys as well.
I definitely will have to say that I'm excited just about the structure of this league and how you just have so many high caliber athletes here that are able to perform within this league. So I'm just excited for the talent that is showcased here in Max Sports TV, given the opportunity to just show you all what the talent in Houston looks like.
2 wins today for Flight 713, including the bookending victory here, 59-55 over Showtime. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week as our continuing coverage of the No Excuses League continues through June. But for now, for Deion Dunlap and Garrett Jones, in Paige Lawrence, Garrett Jones saying so long. Doesn't appear that we'll have a game number 5, so we'll see you next week.